the titular role. It's from Lady Bird. And
Yes.
so one of the girls in Lady Bird is like, oh, you're cast in The Tempest. And she's like, what's my role? She's like, you're the Tempest. It's the titular role. It's like, there's no Tempest in Tempest. Anyway.
Celebrity Jeopardy is too easy. There needs to be something between regular Jeopardy and Celebrity Jeopardy. There needs to be like JV Jeopardy.
Well, maybe High School Jeopardy.
Maybe.
You know who crushed it on Celebrity Jeopardy? Our guy Luke Perry.
Oh, was he good?
He went on in the
R.I.P.
90s and killed it.
He was a smart guy.
Also, Emma Stone really wants to get on the regular Jeopardy because she's a big Jeopardy head. She watches it every night, and she's very smart. And but she's like, I don't want to like just get to the Celebrity Jeopardy and win because it feels to her like it's a little less than. She wants to go in the real Jeopardy and win real Jeopardy.
The guy from The League, I forget his name. He's an actor. He's a filmmaker. That he always wins Celebrity Jeopardy. I'm blanking on his name right now. I should have looked it up before I brought it up. But he's the one that just cleans everyone's clock. He should get booted up to regular Jeopardy along with Emma Stone. There needs to be a middle ground.
Mark Duplass?
Yeah,
Mark Duplass.
Yeah.
He's really smart.
Yeah,
The
he's
Duplass brothers
very
were also great filmmakers, by the way. Love them.
Yeah, he makes great movies, and he's even better at Jeopardy, but he needs to go on to the regular one. Ask Andy is coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
The black and gold have been to the MLS Cup Final the last 2 years in a row. Can they make it a third? The road starts this Saturday.
BMO Stadium is rocking for the black and gold.
LAFC are reloaded and ready for season 7, led by former World Cup champion keeper Hugo Lloris and last year's Golden Boot winner Denis Bouanga.
Denny!
It's the season opener at BMO. LAFC versus Seattle. Pre-game starts Saturday at 1 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
jackpot. Let's get to it. Ask Slee right now.
Rest easy, everyone. Emily gave me a quick Instagram tutorial during the break. We seemed to she got
to the bottom of it.
She got a good look at my Instagram Plus that she had never seen before. So
Also, just
we're all
the
good to
size
go.
of the font on your phone.
Is it a little big?
It's a little big.
Yeah. Well, hey, what are you gonna do? I need to be able to see it.
Hey, why do you have the
Sorry.
golden icon for Instagram? We don't. Why do you have the golden icon?
Don't wait. Look, they give that to a very select few.
okay.
It's like the old blue check mark. You got to get the golden eye, right? Remember when that was like a thing? And now it's like, yeah, if you have one, it's like, oh, that's kind of weird.
The blue check mark?
Yeah, the authentication.
It means you are either a really big fan of everything that comes with Elon Musk, or you're somebody who just wants to be able to post like 1,000 words.
Or
videos.
edit.
There's certain videos.
Check the hullabaloo authenticator spot. See, I know you guys are looking at me like I've lost my mind. I got to get them in with AK today. These are all stupid Simpsons things that I know I have a captive audience on. Emily, you go first. I accidentally closed my Twitter window.
All right, fantastic. All right, so this is from Captain Whittier, and I'm asking this because I am in a big Survivor binge right now, and I'm watching through Winners at War. It's one of the best seasons of television of all time. Let's go. So,
Just so you know, I'm already lost.
it's
I have
fine.
no idea what
It's
you're
fine.
talking about.
So, if you had to go on Survivor, pick 3 people from the station that you're taking and 3 people that you're definitely not taking. Okay, so here's what you got to consider: someone with good social skills, someone with good that is athletic, and someone that will help work with you. That would be a good ally for you, and people that are not allies for you, which is people you don't want to take.
Okay, and there's a certain amount of survivalist skills involved?
Yeah, you have not a ton.
Trapping and skinning.
You don't have to trap and skin, but you do have to fish. And
to
you have to make
fish.
fish, and you have to kind of build shelter. So that's the main thing. So
So you got to be able to live off the land to some degree.
Yes,
in a
exactly. They
controlled
have rights for you
environment.
and stuff. But so 3 people you will take, 3 people you'll leave out.
Okay, 3 people that I would take. I mean, this is a tough question because my honest answer is none of you. There's
Good
nobody
answer.
that really
Good
sounds.
answer.
There's really nobody that sounds all that
I'm
appealing.
trying to think if there's anybody here that I would feel. Maybe Jorge.
Jorge,
that
yeah.
If you had to figure out a way to
Okay.
make it happen.
Jorge was on my list.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy that can fix a lot of things.
Yes.
And
And you would be good in challenges. I think you'd be a
right.
solid.
He's
athlete.
athletic. He can fix a lot of different things.
For $200.
Exactly.
A 6-pack.
if he gets to bring his guys with him.
Right, he's got a guy.
Clinton popped to mind.
Yes.
Clinton, I think, would be very good in this setting. He's good at dealing with other people directly. If you are on Team Clinton, and if Clinton is on Team you, and I think for me, I'd like to think
not what
both
he
things are
told me.
true. Well, it's too late now. I committed to Clinton. Clinton is my number 2. You know what? I'm going to go number 3, Alan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think
that's a
Alan
good
must
choice.
have so many secret skills that he doesn't let any of us know about, including, as I've
He was
speculated,
athlete of the year.
professional killer. I feel like Alan is a sneaky good choice with
And he's
this.
a good vote. That's what the good thing for Alan is. I think that he would listen to reason. I think he's a good
Well,
vote to have
okay.
on your side.
That's a very diplomatic way of
Except for
putting it.
they'd ask him to vote for one thing, and he'd hear the question differently and vote for something totally off topic.
Hey, LA, help me.
It's a diplomatic way of saying, I think I could get Alan to vote my way. I think I could persuade him.
I think you could too. So those are solid. Those are definitely solid.
Then I know I'm not bringing Mace.
Yeah.
Mace
sorry,
would be a
Mace.
disaster. I am not bringing Kaplan. Love
Yeah.
Cappy, but Cappy brings nothing to the table in this setting.
I also don't think I'd bring John.
Oh, Ireland?
Yeah, I don't think I'd bring John.
No, those are not the islands that Ireland
Exactly.
Hails from.
yeah. Ireland's a good number 3, not bringing him.
All right, I found my list again here. This is from Moy, and he writes, Joe Exotic reaches out to you for a cameo in Commander and Chimp. Yes or no?
No. This is a serious film.
But, okay, but
I'm not
that's
going to make
numbers.
a mockery of.
But he has familiarity with working
He'd
with
sell
animals.
No. Okay, I don't need to do stunt casting, Emily, in order to make this film work. Commander and Chimp sells itself. Like, the premise is enough. I don't need. There are other Joe Exotics out there. If I need an animal expert, I'll bring somebody in. Thank you.
He might not be available either. Is he still inside?
I'm not sure.
Yes, he actually was trying to advocate for himself to get pardoned.
He's
So,
still
yeah,
in.
yeah,
To get pardoned?
or out of
Paroled?
jail. I don't know what it is. I think
Commuted?
I think he was
Commuted,
writing
I
to the
think,
president
yes.
to get pardoned.
Oh, I do remember that.
Jorge.
All right, from 805 Raider. Yo, Andy, if you were in charge of casting a movie about 710, Who would play everyone at the station?
Oh my!
Let's just
Next time, send me something a little tougher with more options to come up with off the top of my head.
I
How
feel
about,
like we've
how
done
about
this many
cast
times
everybody
before.
who's ever been a part of 710?
Everyone you've ever met who
Or
would
let's
play
just go
them
with the
in a
shows.
movie.
Come on,
I
it'll
think,
fire.
I think 2 years ago we did do a full casting and they had a whole graphic about it. Yeah.
Ireland had me as Kevin James, which I was okay with. Like
I
that-
was also Amy Schumer, which I'm not super okay with at this
because you
point.
don't like Amy Schumer particularly.
I think in recent weeks she's got a large presence. I don't know if I want Amy Schumer to be represented as me.
This reminds me a lot of this, is like the inverse of a question. I remember years ago, my dad was trying to think of a movie. He couldn't remember it, and he went to me because he knows I know this stuff. He's like, it's a movie. Dustin Hoffman's not in it.
Okay, narrows it down.
Okay, I'm like, so you've narrowed it down to like
Well, you took like 40 movies off the board.
Like you've narrowed it down to like 45,000 movies. Thank you. Like that was the only thing he could think of. Dustin Hoffman's not in it.
Because you're like, dang it, I was going to say The Graduate.
That gives me nothing.
That is so good.
Yeah, I
That
know.
is so amazing because that is exactly, I don't know how old your dad is. I'm guessing maybe 70, 80, something like that.
He's late 70s.
Okay. That is the exact way somebody in their late 70s asks questions. They give you the thing that is the least helpful, but it's actually somewhat winnows the topic, but not in any meaningful way.
Terminator.
That's terrific. One more quick one here. For Commander and Chimp, will you pay homage to The Simpsons or Planet of the Apes by making a reference? Hashtag Ask Andy.
Definitely not The Simpsons because that would feel forced. Like
Okay.
there's no reason to do it. If
Put
there
the
is,
Statue of Liberty out there.
if there's a clever way to pay a certain amount of homage to Planet of the Apes, but again, it's got to be organic because at least for the time being, until that franchise eventually reaches out to me, these are unconnected franchises.
They live in different universes.
Right. They're not part of the same IP.
But is Commander and Chimp set in the real world? It's not set in an alternate reality.
oh no, this is.
So if there were a reference to The Simpsons, it would not be out of left field.
But it could feel forced.
Okay.
Like it needs to feel organic. Like this is not only set in the real world. In today's politics, it actually feels too realistic.
It's too on the nose.
Like it does not feel impossible that in today's politics, a chimp could get elected president.
That's what you get when you don't hail to the chimp. All right, Shohei Ohtani is putting on those leadership pants, and it's going pretty well so far. That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Is your vehicle due for service? Is it ready for general maintenance? Were you driving around the last couple of days in the rain and you couldn't see out your windshield and you need to get those windshield wipers replaced? Head on into your neighborhood Valvoline Instant Oil Change, home of the 15-minute drive-through oil change, and get rid of that sound for good. Because for over 30 years, Valvoline has provided quick and convenient automotive maintenance services for busy people just like you and me. You don't even have to get out of your car at Valvoline. You stay in your car nice and safe, nice and relaxed, while the expert technicians make sure that your ride is at its absolute best. Oil changes, tire rotations, transmission care, and more. Just pull up, drive in, and drive out in about 15 minutes. My daughter actually knocked out her wipers in Valvoline Instant Oil Change when she was in the rain the other day. I'm like, just go get it done. It's easy. You're in, you're out. You sit in the car the whole time. Bang, done. Over 80 locations ready to help you get your ride ready for the road in no time at all. So visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations and game-winning coupons off of your next Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy and
ESPN, KSPN Los Angeles, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
This is the Mid-Morning Spectacular live from LA Live. Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
Andy, I have some bad news.
Which is?
You know how I feel about ice.
Yes. It's very important.
The ice machine just died.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. The Parker gets it. Parker just threw his hands on his head. There is an ice machine here at 710 that I love. It makes pellet ice, and it's wonderful. And it's been here a very long time. And I look for every day I come in here, I know I'm going to get a couple cups of coffee. And then after that, I'm going to hammer through a bunch of ice water because it's got pellet ice, which I love.
Okay, you are, I think most people would agree around the station. I've heard Greg say it before. Amanda used to say it all the time. You are among the lowest maintenance employees here.
I think that's true.
Certainly among the talent, you may be the lowest maintenance person here.
Probably.
I imagine if there is an ice machine replacement, you are going to be heavily involved in the process because you are going to insert yourself in there.
I walked over there. I hit the button to fill up my mug with pellet ice, and it dropped like 8 or 10 little cubes in there, and then it made this horrific grinding noise and then just shut down.
Like, how angry are you going to be if they bring in a substandard ice machine as a replacement without speaking to you about it first?
It would be disappointing. Look, like you said, I don't ask for a ton. I would like that ice machine to be repaired or replaced with
process,
the same one.
Travis.
Yes, I know.
Like, the show quality is going to fall.
My children bought me an ice machine for Father's Day one year. It might be the nicest thing anybody's ever given me.
Like, that ice machine is the equivalent of, like, you know, the stories about how Van Halen, part of their contract writer was you had to remove the green M&Ms from the dressing room.
Yeah.
That ice machine is basically your writer.
That's it. It's a one-item writer. Have pellet ice.
It's the only thing in your contract.
I'm distraught. You may have to take over for the rest of the day.
I'm serious. Like, if they don't involve you in the process, if that thing ends up being replaced as opposed to repaired.
The only thing that's better than the pellet ice, there's one thing and I'm talking like large scale ice production. I'm not talking for a cocktail or anything like that. I'm taking just for your daily ice use, which is important to me. The only thing that's better, and it's very hard to find, and you usually have to buy one of those big industrial things to get it done, are the ice cubes that are shaped like little bells, that they got the little cusp at the top, the little edge, and the slight depression at the top. That's a game changer. That probably ice machine probably costs $5,000, so I don't think we're getting that in here. But
this brings out the diva in you.
Yes, it's important. Like, look, like we've talked about with the bread being important in a sandwich. Which ice goes in which drink is terribly important. Some things cubes are fine. Sometimes you want the sphere. Sometimes you'd like multiple regular ice cubes. Sometimes the bell ice is exactly what you need. Are we crushing the ice? Are we going to chew on the ice? There's a lot of variables.
I'm not joking. If you started a YouTube channel about this, people would watch.
You would like this place I went to this weekend. It's called The Nice Guy. It's in... I can't remember.
What kind of ice did they have?
So ice is, I can't remember exactly. I think it was like for these big cocktails, like the big round ball ice. They imprint their name,
that's
The
cool.
Nice Guy, into the ice. That's
I like
so
that.
cool.
That is cool.
I'm telling you, this is your channel.
This is a good idea. Chipino and Ice. That's the name of my channel.
Like, your enthusiasm would come through. Because, like, the obviously, the biggest goal is to try to get the widest audience possible.
Sure.
But if you can't get that, what really matters is hardcore niche audience.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's Reddit is great for this. I know Reddit's great for a lot of things, but Reddit's great for this because I wanted to find the best vacuum for the cheapest amount of price that will last me a long time and that has great suction. And I go on to TikTok and
Hoover.
I find this one. It's actually not Hoover. It's a very different
Oric.
thing. No. And there was this TikTok
Dyson.
Reddit page that just broke down everything and had all these charts and all this stuff of like bang for buck on all these vacuums. And I'm like, that's amazing. I love that.
I did a whole thing, and maybe this could be my opening episode of my Chipino and Ice channel. I tried to, you know, like when you make ice, you get an ice tray in your fridge or the ice maker in your fridge. The ice is cloudy. There's air trapped in the ice, right? But when you go to a bar, the ice is crystal clear. You know how hard it is to make ice that's crystal clear? There's a whole process you have to go through. And I tried to do it at home, and I got like 90% clear, and I was so deeply disappointed in myself that I couldn't get that last part of the air.
Your channel is you making ice at home. You're trying different ice makers, ice trays. You bring in as guests some of the greatest ice makers in the world, like some of the greatest ice makers in the ice industry. Like this is a real show.
So
we're going to bring Mr. Igloo. He's going to come in here and give us
that's
a
sweep
story.
sweep.
It should be called the minutia. Or you can also just you're not pigeonholed into just ice. It can be all the minutia of your life.
Well, I got months worth of ice content.
No. Ice Ice Baby. That's the name of this show. Like, don't overcomplicate it. This is the show.
But then I'm thinking 3 years in the line, you're not going to have so much ice content.
You might be surprised. You might be surprised. Like,
I just don't want to pigeonhole you.
How to repair an ice machine? When is a block of ice the right choice? There's a week's worth
ice
of shows.
Sculptures.
Ice sculpture. What's the proper way to use an ice sculpture?
Oh, dude, Vanilla Ice as your guest.
Ice Cube, Ice Tea,
Ice Spice. Like, there's so many different guests out there. Matty Ice.
Let's table this. I don't want to give away all these
D-Lo, Ice in My Veins. Like, there's a lot.
We got
he can cross over his podcast. This is perfect.
This is done. This is we've got months worth of
Neil Diamond? Come on, man. That's your title. Love on the Rocks.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do this. All right. That's amazing. That is so good. I was reading something this morning about Shohei and the home run that he hit off of J.P. Frierson in batting practice the other day. And they were talking about how after the batting practice session was over, Ohtani did not discuss anything with the assembled media, which he rarely does. He does not talk to the media very often. So most of the media, when they were allowed back into the clubhouse after the day was done, they went to Frierson and were kind of like, hey, breaking down the entire thing. The piece included a description of there were more than a few eye rolls among the Dodger personnel, both staffers and players, about like, seriously, the guy hits a home run in batting practice and there's this crush going on. And I think that's going to take some getting used to for the Dodgers, because in Anaheim with the Angels, Ohtani could go about his business in the way he goes about his business, and his teammates would have to field the questions all. But because the Angels were never kind of in the mix, it never became a thing. I think this could become a thing. Shohei Ohtani has to be the leader of this team, whether he wants to be or not. I think he does want to be, but even if he's a reluctant leader, he's going to be the leader because he makes $700 million. He's the best player on their team. He's the best player in baseball. He's the face of the entire sport, both in this country and internationally. He's the most famous baseball player walking the planet right now. And there's a lot of barriers to the leadership, not insurmountable ones, but number one, there's a language gap. There's a cultural gap. He's a new guy on a new team, which always takes a little bit of an on-ramp to kind of do it. And quite frankly, I don't know if he had to do it in Anaheim or not. There was nothing to lead. The team was bad. And I think that's one of the few questions about Ohtani going into this season is, what is that going to look like? Because he's never had to do it before in the major leagues.
Yeah, and if it's not going to be him, who is it? Can you have a leader? And look, I remember when I covered the Kobe Powell era, like very closely, was around those teams all the time. Kobe was obviously the guy that everybody took their cues from most.
Yep.
His voice mattered the most. His actions mattered the most, and he was clearly the best player on that team. But Derek Fisher was always kind of the conscience of that team and somebody that I think spoke with a different type of gravitas. And Lamar Odom was by far the emotional leader of that team. So you can have different voices and sort of different tiers that matter. And maybe it's either Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman or somebody like
Kershaw's going to have a say about it because he's been this person for the last 10 years.
Right. Could be Kershaw. I mean, I was thinking more along the lines of everyday guys, but Kershaw obviously has, status in that organization, in that clubhouse. I think what matters is how comfortable or willing is Ohtani to do this at all? How much of an adjustment is it for him? How much comfort needs to be gained? Does it have to happen this year? can this year be kind of a feeling out process, and next year is where he starts asserting himself more?
I don't think when you make $700 million and you're the face of the sport, you get a feeling out process.
He's only making $2 million.
Right. That you don't get an on-ramp when you're this. You get an on-ramp when if all of a sudden you show up and you're a phenom, you're brand new, nobody quit. You are a known commodity. Maybe not in that clubhouse, but throughout the world, there's expectations. Whether you want him or not, he's got to do it.
Well, again, but he's got time to grow into it. He's there for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I think the structure of this team means he doesn't necessarily have to do it all, like the finished version of it, right away. That being said, though, because Ohtani is known for being exceptionally private.
Yes.
Like by design, aggressively private.
They didn't tell us the name of his dog.
Right. And, there's been those questions about with an organization like the Dodgers, how much of himself is he just going to be willing to put out there, period, on any level? Because whether you're talking about leadership, marketing, whatever, it's important. This video that Jorge tweeted out.
Yeah.
Where
I have the sound.
Play it, but Ohtani and Yamamoto learning Spanish. We'll play it. I think there's something positive just in this.
Dile, buenos días.
Buenos días.
Dodgers. Sí, buenos días, fanáticos.
¿Fanático?
Sí, fanáticos. Fans.
¿Fanático?
Fanáticos.
Buenos días, fanático.
Sí. Llama.
Hey.
Buenos días. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
There you go. Buenos días, people.
They must listen to our show.
That's right. Buenos dias.
Exactly. Buenos dias.
They sound pretty good.
They do sound pretty good. And the fact that he takes his time to wait, how do you say it again? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But look, I will admit, I did not follow the ins and outs of the Angels the way an Angels fanatic might. But
Fanáticos.
Fanáticos. Like the Fanáticos de Angels.
Right.
They've done it. But that clip feels more of Ohtani showing himself in those 10 seconds than we got from Ohtani in 7 years?
Six, yeah.
6?
Yeah.
That may be, I don't want to read too much into it, but that may be a positive sign of Ohtani, if not meeting the Dodgers halfway, meeting them a third of the way.
So I think
the start of it.
I think that's it. That to put the two things together, right? The eye rolling that was reportedly happening because he hits a home run in BP and everybody wants to break down the pitcher that threw the pitch, to him goofing around with his teammates, right? Him having a video where he's trying to learn a third language, right? He's trying to communicate with his teammates in Spanish. He's trying to communicate with the fans in Spanish. He's trying to communicate with the fans in English and his teammates in English. And just that the eye rolling will come towards the press and, oh my God, guys, can you leave us alone? We're done with this, as opposed to the eye rolling being directed at their teammate because he's never around to do it. There's who the eye rolling is directed at, I think matters a great deal.
I can give a really good example with this. I covered the 2007 Dodgers for the LA Times. Brian and I did the LA Times blog for that team. That team is hands down the worst clubhouse or locker room I've ever been in.
Is that the Jeff Kent team?
That was the year, remember, where there was that big, very open schism between the veteran players and
Joe Torre,
the kids
right.
of Kemp and Russell Martin and that group, James Loney.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that the veterans did that was really, really bad with that group is they would never make themselves available for media. Unless they won games, but certainly if they lost, and if it was a bad loss, and they always leave it to guys like Kemp and Ethier and Russell Martin and Loney. Like, they were the guys that always had to do the talking, which is the exact opposite of what you expect from a veteran. And those guys didn't have the gravitas in that locker room to publicly roll their eyes, but I know for a fact they were privately rolling them a lot.
So now the question is, how many games are they going to win? We know who's going to pitch in the first two in Korea. We think that's coming up next. It's Travis Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN. And speaking of baseball, let's talk a little bit about Prize Picks, right? The NBA gets going again tomorrow night. And you can get in Prize Picks, and you pick your more or less on your NBA players as well. This is what Prize Picks is all about. This is why I love Prize Picks. This is why I'm part of the biggest daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. There's the easy gameplay, the quick withdrawals, the huge selections of players and stat options, but it's the ease, right? More or less. For instance, here's a little one I got going on right now in Major League Baseball futures. Shohei Ohtani, more or less than 38.5 home runs. Juan Soto, more or less than 35.5 home runs. Aaron Judge, more or less than 44.5 home runs. If I get that right, I will win 5 times my money. That's it at Prize Picks. Pick between 2 and 6 players, and you can win up to 10 times your money. Put that Prize Picks app on your phone. Use the code 710. That's code 710 on that Prize Picks app for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Buenos días.
In one day. I don't
Great
know.
question.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
Couple of other suggestions on my impending YouTube celebrity where I become the ice guy on social media. Real Mott's writes, "You're right about ice. I watched a video called How to Make Every Cocktail, and the first thing the host, who is a bartender, says is, ice is the most important part. Do not use ice from your freezer." Right. I don't make this stuff up. I've done the research. I know what matters. I know what makes it better or worse. The ice matters.
I'm telling you, this is your lane. Like, this is your passion. You really care about this deeply.
$8 Squatter writes, for the name of the channel, The Iceman Comments. Pretty darn good.
That's good.
Pretty darn good. Ice Baby's still really good. Love on the Rocks is not a bad choice along the way.
The problem with Love on the Rocks, though, is you won't know exactly what it means just by looking at the title.
True.
Ice. When that good SEO. So, you know, when you type into Spotify, you want to be you're the first thing that comes up and not, you know, Ice Baby.
It's not a good SEO.
The Iceman Comments may be the leader in the clubhouse right now.
It's pretty good.
$8 Squatter, hat tip to you. Well done. A little bit of Laker news right here. LeBron James has an excused absence, is not at practice today. He will meet with the team in San Francisco. And Darvin Ham, also not at practice today with what is being described as a personal matter. So we weren't entirely sure that LeBron was going to play tomorrow night against the Warriors, but he is not with the team currently. He will meet them up north tomorrow. He may or may not play along the way, but this is just kind of the LeBron James experience at this point, right?
Well, the fact that he is planning to meet the team is theoretically a good sign. You know, we were talking during the break when I saw this news. My immediate reaction was, I both hope and don't hope that the reason LeBron's excuse is he's getting treatment on that ankle. Like, there's a part of me that wants that to be the reason and a part of me that doesn't.
What part wants you to be?
Because then it's just a really simple explanation. Like, there's no reason for him
ankle sore.
Right. Yeah. There's no reason for him to practice if he's been getting treatment anyway. Just treat the ankle. LeBron doesn't really need to practice this particular day.
And the reason you don't want it true?
Because I'm concerned that today won't be enough treatment. That he can't play.
Yeah, look, this kind of brings us to what...
But he had multiple days other than the All-Star game off, and he's still needing treatment.
Okay. Why? If his ankle is tender enough to where he's on the fence, and look, if we're being optimists here, maybe it's just one of those things, like you said, that from now until whenever the last day of LeBron James's career comes up, he's going to be on the fence every time because that's just how they're going to work this. But if he didn't play against Utah right before the break, he may or may not play tomorrow against Utah, yet in the middle there was a 400-point debacle that was played where he didn't play a lot, but he did participate in it. It's a bad look. That's just. I know it's nothing. It's only 10 minutes or 11 or whatever the official count was.
Right, by the way.
It's just. I'm sorry, the Warriors. That I get all of those things, but it just looks like that's the thing that you spent whatever healing time you could have used, that you used it on that. It just looks like crap.
If multiple days before and after those 13 minutes of treatment weren't enough to make you pretty definitive about playing in that game. And look, if he ends up playing, this is all much ado about nothing. But if he ends up missing that game, as much as I get that LeBron feels a responsibility for these sort of events and good for him, it's bad judgment. You shouldn't be playing in the game.
And I understand what you mean, like a sense of responsibility. He's still the face of the league, right? He's still the most famous person in that league. He's one of the most famous people walking the planet at the moment. I understand that. Does anybody care if LeBron James plays 13 minutes where he's smiling at everybody, running up and down the court, throwing lobs, shooting threes, and not playing basketball? Is that something he has to participate in?
He does not have to. I legitimately get why LeBron would feel an obligation towards it. But again, if multiple days off before those 13 minutes and after those 13 minutes aren't enough, he just shouldn't have been playing.
And what's weird is the game tomorrow night against Golden State is oddly important. The Lakers have a 1.5 lead on Golden State right now. The Lakers at 9, Golden State at 10. But you don't have to squint too hard to land on both of these teams are in the play-in, and you'd rather play this game at home than on the road. And you certainly Here's some very deep insight, Andy. 7's better than 8, 8's better than 9, 9's better than 10, right? And but it matters a lot. Each one has a significantly worse chance of advancing along the way. And a game against Golden State tomorrow night could ultimately end up being really important.
The Lakers still have 3 games left against Golden State.
Golden State's hot.
Yeah, in terms of figuring out tiebreaker stuff like that. I would like to think, by the way, because if the Lakers and Warriors are 9-10, that means definitionally one of them is not in the playoffs, which is not what the league wants at all. I'd like to think they're going to do the right thing. And if it starts getting close to that, they do some of the tampering and the rigging that everybody thinks the league does anyway. Yeah, the script. You move Sacramento to the 9 seed. I'm sorry. And you move the Lakers up to 8.
Just through commissioner decree.
Well, it's what David Stern would have done. David Stern, he ran things with an iron fist. If you're going to veto the Chris Paul deal, you do this.
Okay, look, I get it that's not what anybody wants, but here's the thing, and we criticize a lot when stuff happens that doesn't work, and we're like, oh, that was a terrible idea. Why'd you ever do that? The play-in is awesome.
It's great.
And here's the only part I can't quite separate from it. Because, unfortunately, the Lakers have been a regular participant in the play-in or being in or out of the play-in. I don't know if it's because the team that we all spend so much time talking about is constantly involved in it or whether it's as good as I think it is.
It's great. I mean, first of all, it's great because it keeps the regular season more trenchant for more teams as long as possible. So it makes it so fewer teams, between that and some of the flattened odds for the lottery, it keeps the regular season more important. There's more urgency for it for a longer period. But secondly, like, those play-in games are exciting. Like, at most, you have 2 opportunities to get into the playoffs. For some teams, it's 1 just to stay alive. Like, it's really exciting.
They're played with desperation,
yes.
Which and I know that they're trying to do it with the IST. I know that they're trying to create more, but you cannot simulate desperation. You can't do it. Well, you can say tonight's important but if there's a difference between this is it if you lose and, hey, listen, we got to really buckle down because we're running out of time.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, last year when the Lakers made that run post-trade deadline, post All-Star, one of the things fueling them was desperation. Mm-hmm. Because remember, they were like 6 games or so below 500. Like, the Lakers didn't end up above 500 for like the entire season until I think something like game 70. Like, it took a long
time.
Yeah. This year's team obviously is trying to get up to 6 if possible, 7 or 8, like whatever. But they're 4 games above 500. Like, the same desperation, depending on how you look at it, good or bad, is not there for this year's team as last year.
Not yet. And I wonder as we get closer to the end of the line and you're still in that 8, 9, 10 area, if that desperation doesn't start to creep in a little bit. 4 new entries, all from the same person for the name of the pod. You ready? Hooper's X coming in strong. Ice to meet you.
That's not bad.
Have a nice day. Not bad. And simple, but I kind of like that one. The ice of life.
That's good. I like that. That's really good.
Icy does it. None of those are bad.
I like the ice of life best.
Ice of life more than the Iceman comments?
Yes.
Ice of life it is. That's
Ice
the
of
leader
life
in the
is
clubhouse
pretty
at the moment. Factor Cap's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
You never have to
It's Odo. It's Odo. It's fact. All right. So, hey, guys. Jorge's never late. So, yesterday, I want to give a quick shout out to...
Somebody broke the ice machine.
Yeah,
I had
exactly.
to go to 7-Eleven and buy some.
Have you ordered the new one yet?
Did it break?
Yes.
This morning.
It broke. I was.
Oh, so Greg
broke it.
No, last break I went in there. You know how often I'm in there, right?
Yeah.
Hit the button, like 10 little pellets fell out, and then it went and just shut down.
Oh, fantastic.
So please order another one today.
Steffa.
I was saying,
Unsung
Travis
hero.
is going to demand to be a part of this process. This is really important.
You should be. I'll put you on an email.
Okay.
Make sure you
You
respond.
can head the committee.
Yeah, I will be chairperson of said committee. Yes,
I
this is
also want to
important.
give a shout out to the West Hollywood Aquatic Center because I got there yesterday and I come in. They always play music. And I play, and it's usually top 20s, but sometimes it's oldies, whatever. It's great. So I walk in and they're playing Taylor Swift. I said, that's fun. And then I realized they had just Taylor Swift on for an entire hour. And I was like, thank you, West Hollywood Aquatic Center. I love that. It motivated me to swim. And no one else complained, so don't worry about it. All right, so my first thing up is Kylie Kelsey in the... Do you want to say something?
No, I'm just processing something. Go ahead.
Kylie Kelsey in the Amazon documentary about her family last year, the Jason Kelsey documentary. She talked about how she doesn't want to wear something from the other team at all. So I'm going to play a little clip from that right now.
To be clear, like, I am like an Eagles fan to the extent of like, if Jason ever went and played for another team, I would wear Kelsey. I would not wear another team's stuff. Like I've thought about that a number of times where like I couldn't do it.
All right, so she refused to wear any Chiefs gear in the Sweet Box.
This is the mother or the wife?
No, sister.
This is
Sister.
the wife
Okay.
of Jason Kelsey. This is Kylie Kelsey.
Got it.
So this year she would wear Cincinnati Bearcat stuff to support. And it was red, but it never said Chiefs. So she's a huge Eagles fan. She's from the Philadelphia area. She met Jason and fell in love. So she doesn't do any of that stuff. So you consciously think about wearing another team's gear. So, you know, someone gives you a Angel jersey to wear to an Angel game. You consciously think, I'm not going to do that because I'm a Dodger fan. Travis, fact or cap?
Well, you used a very specific example, so I'm going to say fact. Like there are a couple of things I would choose not to wear because I don't want to support that. But if I'm indifferent toward, like if you said to me, put on the Angels jersey, I would choose not to. When we went, Greg, to the Dodger Angel game, I wore my Dodger hoodie and my Dodger cap because. But if I were in Cleveland and somebody said put on a Guardians cap, all right, I don't care. I mean, that's no real skin off my nose. But there are things I would avoid, but not anything other than my favorite team.
Berg?
Yeah, it's fact. I mean, I'm not going to wear any other team that I don't like. I'm not like DeAndre for the fit. Like he wears San Francisco Giants
Why'd you say
hats.
it like that?
Because he wears it for the fit. That's what he says. It's ridiculous. It's nonsense.
He
And I
doesn't
don't
care
think
about baseball, so he doesn't.
Exactly.
I think if it was an Eagle, like an NFL thing, I think he would care a little bit.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know.
an Eagles fan.
I don't know. I understand he's an Eagles fan, but I don't wear any other teams, and I don't think any friend. If I was in Cleveland and they said you have to wear this Guardians hat, I won't go to the game.
Where does DeAndre wear it?
Would DeAndre
Why?
Woodward? Why? Because he likes the fit.
I was hoping you said for the fit.
He likes it for the fit. There you go. Now you have it in clean.
I mean, it's fact in the sense of if I don't like a team, I don't see any reason to wear their gear. But I was thinking about this thing with Jason Kelsey's wife. Like, my wife is a diehard Cowboys fan. Like, she cares deeply about the Cowboys. If I were in the NFL and I played for the Eagles, and the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and she was in like whatever teammate box, whatever you call it.
She's in Jeffrey Lurie's suite.
Yes. There is no way in hell she would wear an Eagles jersey. Like, first of all, if there's a 50-50 chance that if I got either traded to the Eagles, drafted by the Eagles, she'd divorce me. Like, I'm not joking. But there is not a chance in hell. If I said, look, honey, the Luries need you to wear this jersey, say, well, then just tell them I can't come for whatever reason. She would refuse to do that.
That's great.
Jorge?
I only do that with like international soccer jerseys because they look cool, different ones. I do it for the fit.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to match it with the shoes or whatever. But other than that, like if it's not like LFC, I'm not going to wear Galaxy jersey or whatever. So.
Right, exactly. All right, so the Orlando airport put out this tweet, and this is what they are describing in this tweet. It says, experience MCO, which is the acronym for the Orlando airport, in an all-new way. No boarding pass? No problem. Apply for an Experience MCO Gate Pass and spend the day at Terminal C. Enjoy delicious local flavors, check out immersive art, and shop items that remind you of your favorite city, which is beautiful. Okay. So they're giving away a pass where you don't have to have a ticket to go to the airport. That you can buy a pass. I'm assuming you're still going through TSA, but you're going to Terminal C to enjoy the fine cuisine of the Orlando airport. All right. So my statement is this means Orlando is lame. Very effective cap.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I'll go with fact. I mean, they're trying to get people to do something in Orlando that's not Disney World.
If they're like, say, come to our airport, that's so lame.
Look, if you want to be different from every other airport in the history of the world and be like, look, we're a destination.
Like there's a Shanghai airport or the Dubai airport. That is an airport that has a lot of really interesting things inside of it, and it's very beautiful, but no one's going to those airports because, I want to check out the cuisine.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I just think that if they want to do something a little bit different and think that if people may just want to come to their airport to make it a destination, good luck. It's not going to happen, but they're trying something, I guess.
Orlando's lame. Andy.
Is Orlando lame? I mean, that's fact regardless of this.
Right.
Every time I've gone to Orlando, I've thought it was lame.
FedEx or UPS.
But I wonder if this isn't even so much an attempt to create an event as it is, okay, you're traveling in Orlando, rather than, getting to the airport like an hour or two before or whatever, like here, we're giving you an opportunity to just make it a relaxing day with the family. You don't have to rush around. Get here early, and we can give you things to do at the airport and just make the airport a more relaxed experience. Because there's no way people are going to say, all right, I'm visiting Orlando for a week. I got to give myself an extra day at the airport.
Well, they said
that's not going to happen.
She did say that you don't need a boarding pass. So you're going there with no boarding pass.
They're targeting the non-traveler.
Right.
They're targeting the Orlando residents. Hey,
Yes.
come check out the fine cuisine in Terminal C.
But again, these, I suspect this is more about travelers. I could be wrong.
That's not what the promo says.
Right, but they may want to try to open it up to some locals to maybe try it one time. I suspect long term this is about actually travelers.
Don't like Disneyland? Come to the airport.
This is 100% fact. That your statement that this means Orlando is lame is a fact because, first of all, the best airport experience is the one you don't even remember, right? You only remember the bad airport experiences where security sucked, the gate changed, the flights. No one has a good time at the airport. It's just a burden that you have to deal with at any given point. So that they're trying to pull you into that environment, A, is a huge miss. Number two, what exactly is the local flavor of Orlando? Like if I told
Orlando style pizza.
If I told you
Disneyland food,
Eola Park,
the
man.
local flavors of New Orleans, you know what that means. I know it. The local flavors of Chicago, we know that's sausages and deep dish pizza. The local flavors of San Diego, we know what that
What
is.
is that?
Right? That's Mexican food, fish
that
tacos,
was more
burritos.
LA. Okay.
That's what it
Brewery.
is. Orlando? What the hell is it? I mean, what
Okay,
is it? Corn dogs and cotton candy?
I just did a quick search. What food is Orlando known for? What came up at the top? No signature dish is exclusively associated with Orlando, but some commonly enjoyed by locals and visitors include fried alligator, conch fritters, and Cuban cuisine.
My sister did go to the alligator.
Miami. If Cuban cuisine belongs in Miami and Havana,
They're glomming on.
right.
Orlando's glomming on.
So my sister who lives in Orlando, she goes to school at UCF, so she has gone to the alligator museum zoo thing. It's one thing to do. All she does is go to parks and attractions as her free time, which is fun and great. Have fun, Maggie. That's
Tell her to try out Terminal C and tell us about it.
Jorge, what do you think about this?
Cap, Orlando's awesome.
okay.
If you want to take your Hyena to Denny's, hey, you have an option now. Take her to the Sbarro Pizza, and there's great. Plus, you're going to fool her thinking you're going to take her on a nice trip or something, but you're like, hey, girl, I got you some pizza and lasagna.
Counterpoint.
Come on, it's a date night.
Central Florida is known for its entertainment scene and theme parks, but it's also starting to get more recognition for its food scene. Wallet Hub compared 180 of the nation's largest cities to determine best foodie cities in America, and Orlando is at the top of the list. Wallet Hub is a crock.
Yeah, who'd they ask?
Orlando is on the short list of cities when you tell people, hey, I got to take a trip. Oh, where are you going? If you said New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, they're like, oh, cool. Orlando. Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Or they know one thing, and that's going to Disneyland, or Disney World, which is a fine thing to go to Disney World with your family and stuff. It's really fun. But they know exactly what you're doing when you go to Orlando.
Okay. Reading further on this, one big reason from Wallet Hub with Orlando.
Based in Orlando?
Most ice cream and frozen yogurt shops.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disneyland.
Hey, I like all that stuff.
I like it too, but that's not a food scene. I love ice cream and
You're coming in
frozen
from
yogurt.
Italy. You've never been to America before. Hey, Orlando.
Hey, the
Garlic
yogurt
knots
here
of
is a frozen.
Sbarro.
Yeah.
This is different.
I got one more for you guys.
Put the gummy bears on it.
Rainbow sprinkle.
So this weekend, I went to go to a nice restaurant, and I went to go see a show afterwards with my friends. Did not go exactly to plan. My friends were a little late. The service took a long time. We nearly missed the show because they said no late entry, and so we got there right when it started, and we were almost not allowed in, and it was stressing me out. And I tried to be someone that's, oh, it's fine. You guys know me. That's not how I was portraying myself as.
I didn't think that was how it went down.
You consider yourself someone that goes with the flow. Andy, fact or cap?
Yeah, generally I am. I consider myself pretty much that way. I maybe am not as much as I used to be when I was younger, just because I have more responsibilities now. Like there are more stress points in my life, but I'm somebody who plans out the things that I need to, and I've become very organized. But in a perfect world, I would love to just let the water take me wherever it goes.
Yeah, you're the Swiss Army knife of the station. Travis?
Absolutely are.
I think that's fact because I almost out of necessity that Susan is
Go
the
with
one.
the flow with ice?
Susan's the one that swims against the current, right? Like she's going to, through her force of will and personality, try to get it to go the way that she wants it to go. And so you can't have two people that want it to go like that. You have to have the other person needs to be, that's fine, we can do whatever you want to do. Occasionally, if I have a specific idea in mind, I want to try to execute that. But generally speaking, yes, I think I can go with the flow.
Okay. Greg?
Yes, I very much think that I go with the flow, and probably too much. I think it probably would need to be a
I think
little.
sometimes I do too.
Yeah, I think need to be a little bit more assertive. I think that's a thing just in life and in work and in dating and all of that things. Being more assertive is better, and I'm not. I think I go with the flow too much, and that can be a problem in some situations.
Jorge?
Yeah, I can go with the flow, but the hardest part for me is getting out of the house to try to be I can plan for something on the weekend. But when Saturday comes and I'm laying in that couch and I'm watching TV or whatever,
I'm not going anywhere.
Oh man, Brenda's like, hey, are you ready to go wherever we're going? I'm like, nah, I'm not. You can go. I can stay back. But if you get me out of the house, for sure, I'll go with the flow.
If you've seen the show on HBO called Girls, there is one character in that show called Marnie, who I am exactly like. She plans this whole weekend. They go to the Hamptons, and she's like, well, we would have had so much more fun if we just stuck to the plan. It tends to be mine. I try to let go a little bit, but when I don't, things go awry.
It sounds though,
according to you.
Yes, according to you.
Every story you ever tell is of things going awry. So do people always just ignore your plans?
Yes, people ignore my plans a lot.
There may be some information in that.
Yep, exactly.
They're just helpful suggestion.
Every time I ever hear you talk about just going to a movie, it turns into a disaster.
I observe. I've never had movies disasters. Come on, Andy.
No, didn't you get trapped in the parking lot at one point?
Yeah.
When they picked you up with that one girl that you don't like.
Oh, that's right. The
Okay.
friend of
Do
the
you
friend.
want me to tell just stories of me going to the movies every 80% of the time, which is just me sitting there? You want the funny story.
80%, Emily, that's a low amount for the movies working out fine.
I think I'm at 97%, 98.
Go with the flow,
20% disaster. That's a pretty high clip for just going to the movies.
I don't think I actually have a movie theater bad story of something went wrong.
That you would not go to the movie theaters by yourself, so that's not going
But that's I don't go by myself, but that's not going
It's
awry.
a nice little. Do you like to go to a restaurant by yourself?
Not really. Sometimes though, I like to do things with other people.
Restaurant by yourself, movie by yourself is a wonderful treat.
I'm sure
it's a wonderful
I'm sure
treat.
it is.
It's
but that's
great.
But again, it's not going awry. It just
well, it's not going to go awry if it's entirely your show to run and there's no one else there.
Yeah.
It's going to go smoothly. The Clippers are hoping to pull a Rams. That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
At In-N-Out, our hamburgers are Travis and Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
Born of cold and winter air and mountain rain combining. This icy force
intro for your podcast.
There might be some rights
I like
issues.
it. I like it. I have a few more suggestions via Twitter for my impending ICE YouTube channel. All Ice on Me.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty
That's
good.
from Adrian. Thank you for that, Adrian. This is from Mailman Matt of Ice and Men.
That's actually
I like
really
that one.
good.
I like that one.
That's
Not bad.
good.
Right, we got some.
Ice Guy.
Ice Guy isn't a bad one. And then this is from Big E, only Ice fans, which I feel could go in a direction
It also doesn't
that I
really
don't need.
work as a pun.
It doesn't work as a pun.
So
but
you're trying to just force
it's
that in there.
only Ice fans, but it's
Well,
not
actually,
that.
Ice only fans is better. I'm
That
not sure
is.
it's great,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's
the,
better.
The positioning of the words makes
The
a
Ice
great
Father.
deal. All Ice on Me is pretty good.
All Ice on Me is really
That's a good one.
Of Ice and Men
Of
is
Ice
also
and
good.
Men. And he wants me to do a 1970s baseball card channel, which I would enthusiastically do at the same time.
Actually, that would get an audience.
I could do a
Until they
week
all die.
on the 1976 Johnny Bench Topps card. It's the greatest baseball card ever commissioned, followed closely by the 1978 Reggie Jackson Topps card, where he's got the dark glasses, the big swing.
You know,
I
honestly,
can do this all day long.
Again, if you can find like passionate audiences, even if they're small, if they keep coming back, you can make a podcast work in that lane. Like, it might not be, you can
I
retire
cross the streams with ice and baseball cards? Could we make them sign?
Well,
could
that's
we make
why I
them
said
one
the
and the same?
minutia. You
There
have
you
these
go.
minutia things, small things that you get really in deep on.
See, I feel like
Yeah.
you lose half your audience with each show.
You just do
Yeah,
two
'cause
different
some
shows.
don't want the
shows.
ice, some don't want the baseball cards. It's hard to get both. I want to clarify something about me going with the flow. Okay, I went with the flow at the AMC Burbank, and you know what that took me into an stairwell that I didn't know how to get out of. Okay, I went with the flow. I followed my friend. I didn't tell her what to do, and look where we came.
Can I say something? You could have gone in the elevator and have them get lost, and then, hey, I'll meet you in the car. Done.
I was trying to go with the flow and to not take control of the situation, and look where we ended up.
If I may,
In a stairwell.
if I may, and
Andy, I'm just going to take a step back here.
and
you go ahead.
Emily and
take
I not
this from here.
Emily and I have not hung out socially before, but
Neither have we. So she
But I've heard a lot of her
refuses to do it.
stories. Stairwells are something of a bugaboo for you.
It's the other time.
It feels like stairwells, elevators, like vessels that take you from
Are you
garage
claustrophobic?
to whatever.
I really don't like being in close spaces with people.
Yeah. With people, if you're by yourself, is it all right?
Sure, yeah.
Like the points in between arriving in the garage up to arriving destination, it feels like there's a lot of drama
Here
that happens.
is what
High
happens.
stakes areas.
I get uncomfortable of going to places for the first time and I don't know like where these things are. So I need to know where parking is. I need to know how to get to the space.
I get that.
And I think it was worse when I came here because sometimes the buildings here don't make any sense. When I lived in Connecticut, there wasn't an issue. The block here where I go to see the Alamo has an absolutely insane structure of its building. So, and I've gone to like the AMC in Burbank, absolutely insane structure of that building too. So it's harder for me here in LA.
Do I
that
dare
I've had
ask?
to learn. What?
Do I ask or do I just move
Yeah, go
on?
ahead. Do it. Yeah, go
What
ahead.
makes a building insane?
Okay, so you haven't ever
Strong opinion.
you haven't ever been to the block before, so let me just tell you. So there are no stairs in the parking garage. So or the alarm will go off, so you're not supposed to take the stairs in the parking garage. And you can only go to the 4th floor or the bottom floor. You can't go to 2 or 3. But the Alamo happens to be on floor 3. So you have to go all the way down, then back up, and you can't just go up by a couple stairs. You have to go up this way on this one escalator, walk across the courtyard, go up another escalator, go up another escalator. Okay, so
That is legitimately insane. I will give you that.
Trust me, the block is insane. The AMC Burbank is insane. It's hard to understand, to explain how weirdly structured these buildings are. There are not easy, accessible stairs or escalators that aren't way out of your way.
Get your steps in.
Yes, you get your steps in. But when I tell people to meet me at this block, I have to explain exactly what I'm trying to tell you, and they had to call me while they're doing it. They say, I'm so lost, I don't know where to go. So maybe it's the blocks issue. Get it fixed, guys.
You were saying, Andy, that you had a bad movie experience?
Well, I was thinking about it with Emily because, again, the 20% mark sounds high to me for movie
I see a lot of
theater
movies.
Emily, I've seen a lot of movies in my day, too. 20% still feels high. But I remember one time where I had a disaster of sorts in a movie theater. There's a movie theater that no longer exists. It's on La Brea. It used to show just one movie, like one huge screen. It's at like La Brea and Beverly. I can't decide now if it's an adult film house or a church.
Do they still have those?
Yeah, I can't tell. Like there are times it looks like it's both. But anyway, I went to go see this movie. It was called A Life Less Ordinary with Ewan McGregor and Cameron Diaz. It's a Danny Boyle movie. It tanked. And the reason I say it tanked is because few people saw it. I was really excited to see it because it was his first movie after Trainspotting.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to see it like first showing that day of a movie that ended up tanking. So there's like nobody in this theater at all, and it's a big theater. I got there after the preview started, so it was dark. And I just sat down in the back, like basically first seat I saw, and it was dark. All of a sudden I hear this, "What are you doing?" And there was an old lady right next to the seat there. Like I did not see her.
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. I'll move." And she's like, "Oh, I don't understand why you sat down next to me." I was like, "Ma'am, I apologize. I didn't see you. I'm really sorry. I will move." And she just kept berating me. And
That
I'm
old
like,
lady was me.
right. And I'm like, "Ma'am, I did not see you there. That's why she's like, "It's a whole empty theater and you would sit down next to me." I was like, "I didn't see you. I will get up and move." And she just kept berating. I said, "You know what? I'm not moving." I'm not moving.
We're going to cuddle up right here.
And she's like, "Yes, you are." I said, "No, I'm not." She's like, "You can't sit here." I said, "Yes, I can." And she goes, "I'm going to go get an usher." I said, "Go get an usher." So she goes and gets an usher and explains this. And the usher says, "Well, ma'am, if he wants to sit here, he can sit here."
What time of day was this? Like a noon?
Oh, this is like noon, 11:30.
Did she think you were being a creep, or was she just
like a master?
Yeah.
The thing is, so
She left, by the way.
Maybe that's why the movie.
Oh,
tanked.
she left.
my brain would
great.
say those things. I would never say it out loud. I've been in these situations where like my brain is saying what that
Would
lady
you
says.
get up and move?
I would. Yes, I
I
personally,
tried to.
Yeah, no, I'm talking in M's
If
position.
I was the old lady, I would personally get up and move. Because I try to not put my eccentricities on other. No matter how much I talk about it on the radio, I try to not put that on other people. So if I don't want to sit next to somebody in their space, I will move. So that is. But maybe when I turn 70, I will change my mind.
You just let it rip.
I offered to move. She just kept berating me to where it became a matter of principle.
now
I'm like,
now
no.
you've made me make a
Well,
choice,
right,
lady.
you know what?
1%.
I was going to do the right thing, but you're not going to bully me. And then she's like, you have to move. No, I don't actually have to move. I'm choosing to move.
Now you've made it my problem, and I'm deciding that we're going to
And
fight
the
about
best part is
this.
this usher who you could tell is just like, what?
I don't get paid enough for this.
Yeah, he's just like, well, ma'am, he is allowed to sit here.
What are you going to do? Advance on me? You got to come by more often, Andy. We got to do this all the time. The Clippers and the Rams. That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Calling all poker players. Think you're
Rogers, Alan Sliwa, Travis and Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
The earworm. Ever since PBR, it's an earworm.
I have a feeling that this is the only song they played. Oh no, you said they played a lot of
all
different
kinds of
stuff.
So then this is one way. Okay, so we played Latino music, we played hip hop. It's Los Angeles. Hey, where's the country music? And then they come in.
I saw Garth Brooks at the Hollywood Bowl with the LA Phil. Unreal.
With the LA Philharmonic?
Yes.
Interesting.
This was 25 years ago. It was awesome. And I'm neither a country music fan nor am I anti-country music. I'm kind of, whatever. And
like all music.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And went in there with the LA Phil. It was, and Garth Brooks comes out, he opens the show, he goes, look, we're just trying something tonight. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. It was really cool.
You know what? I'm not a big Garth Brooks fan at all, but good for him. Like, that he would just try that and go out on a limb. Because if it doesn't work, he's going to get clowned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And this song is hard not to sing along with.
Yes.
It's one of those great end of the night, the bar's closing, drunk songs, everybody's singing along to it. There's like closing time. Okay.
That's the one that
Crypto.com was singing this.
Yeah.
A sold out crowd. It was cool.
I have a video of myself in Connecticut when I was going out with friends of me singing Zombie by the Cranberries very loudly, and it's probably the best video of me of all time.
Was that planned or going with the plan?
I was going with the flow there. Yeah, for sure.
Alone or with others?
With one friend. Me and him were singing it very loudly, and this is not a bar where you sing things loudly at, but me and him were just having a grand old time singing Zombie by the Cranberries.
It was that.
Is this a pillow guy or no?
Sorry?
Is it the pillow guy?
It's not pillow guy.
A friend.
Yes.
All right, so the Rams did the deal for Matthew Stafford. They send Jared Goff and a whole bunch of draft picks to the Lions. They immediately win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of whatever happens after that is, yeah, but we won the Super Bowl. Whatever their strategy was leading up to it ended up with us winning a Super Bowl. The Lions are obviously on the ascent. They are getting better. They were in the NFC Championship game. Probably should have won the NFC Championship game.
Took out the Rams. And they're a good team. They have good players in the right spots. They have a coach that connects with the team, that's created a culture. It worked for both of them. I think both of them are exactly happy with how it ended up, and the Rams still have some more chapters to write, as do the Lions.
Lions were able to restart their entire
For sure.
franchise because of this, because of the picks they made, and they have a quarterback they can work with.
For sure. So, the Clippers and the Thunder. Are we looking at something that's pretty similar to that? Because the Clippers haven't done the thing that the Rams did where they punched their ticket, but they have a real chance to do it this year. They're going to have to play really well and everything that goes along with it. Oklahoma City has a guy that will probably win an MVP in this league at some point in SGA. That he is not just going to be good, he is good. He is on the short list of best players in the league already. Is this a Rams-Lions situation, but do the Clippers have to win the whole thing for it to be equitable?
Yeah, and for people who may not remember, because it was so long ago and he was only there 1 year, SGA began in the league as a Clipper. He spent his rookie season with the Clippers, and then he got traded to OKC as what was ultimately both part of the Paul George and Kawhi Leonard acquisitions. Like, Kawhi Leonard basically put it out to the Clippers, I will join the Clippers as a free agent if you get Paul George. And that's what led to that move. And look, the Lakers tried to get both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. This is a type of deal that pretty much every exec in the league would have made at the time. So with what I'm about to say, I'm not criticizing the Clippers front office at all. But if, say, this year, SGA, who is among the top frontrunners for MVP, if he wins MVP or the Thunder outlast the Clippers in a year where the Clippers are as well situated as they've been probably in franchise history
I agree.
to win a championship, it doesn't mean that the moves that they made were stupid or ill thought out or whatever, but it's going to sting because they could have just as easily built everything around SGA for a really long window like the one it seems like OKC's going to have.
Do you have to win the whole thing for it to be worth it? You can't say, because here's let me be devil's advocate here. We rebranded this franchise as from what it was to what it is now. That maybe we didn't get all the way there. We didn't, but this is a place where stars come. This is a place where you can build a team that competes at the highest level. Maybe we didn't get over that final step, but it went from the Sterling era, which was a joke, just incompetence at every single level, to they actually built a pretty good team towards the end of the Sterling level with Lob City.
What's funny about Sterling is when they finally ousted him from the league, it was the only time where he was ever being even remotely competent and reputable as an owner.
But they were still a team they were much better than they were, and they were good, but it was still like, okay, you're not quite ready to go to that next step. Now they have the richest owner in sports. They've got somebody that has built a culture that is not ridiculous, right? Their history is kind of ridiculous, but their organization right now is not.
Not at all.
Not at all. That's a big difference. That's a big difference than where they were. And a big part of that is Kawhi chose to come here, and he and the organization pursued another star player aggressively enough that they got it done, and they became one of the teams. Not the team, but one of the teams. Do you have to win for it to be worth it to take that next step in the evolution as an organization?
Yes, because I think what you're talking about is two separate things. If you're talking about just the road to rebranding and reestablishing the Clippers, I agree with you. They've done it exceptionally well. That new building is going to be toilet jokes aside, that new building is going to be phenomenal. The Clippers have done a really good job rebranding themselves around the area. Like if you go to different youth basketball courts and stuff like that all over the city, a lot of them are sponsored by the Clippers. Like they put their presence out there really well. They have a good front office. They have an owner who cares. They've built a good team. Like all of that stuff exists. But I'm talking about all of the moves and the capital that they surrendered in order to put themselves in the position, not just what they traded for Paul George, what they traded for James Harden, the extension they just gave Kawhi Leonard, the
extension that they're probably going to have to give to James Harden.
Right. The other I'd have to go back and look at everything that they've done, but they have been in extreme win now mode, and they've given up a lot to keep themselves in that mode. And again, that's great. I'm not being critical of any of it. But if you don't win a championship through doing all that, it's going to be a failure of the mission because, again, they could have started rebranding themselves around SGA. And just
Doc Rivers knew.
Doc did know. Doc knew he was
good. Doc told everybody, you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I'm sure I want Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Yes, I'm sure.
So this is the quote from the article. He says, I even brought it up to Kawhi. Are you sure? I think Shea's going to be an amazing player. It may take a year or two, but I think that they're understanding how good Shea is going to be.
I mean, is that not exactly the quote why people eye roll Doc Rivers now? Is that not the quintessential Doc Rivers quote right there? It's like, come on, man. Really?
He's like, we didn't have to put Shea into it.
On,
like
man.
you didn't know.
Come on, man.
I mean, Doc was, if I remember correctly, around that time, Doc's like helping run personnel. Like I think if Doc really wanted to step on this thing, he can step on it.
I think the idea of them needing to win the whole thing, because let's flip it, right? That if the Rams didn't, let's say that Aaron Donald doesn't get to Joe Burrow and they find Jamar Chase, who was by himself down the sideline, and they hit that touchdown, they score the touchdown, and the Cincinnati Bengals win Super Bowl 56 instead of the Rams, and the Rams got within a breath of it, but they didn't get it.
And haven't been back since.
What are we talking about exactly? Because you're talking about, hey, Jared, you didn't wait long enough. He'd already taken you to a Super Bowl. He was getting better theoretically. You had you can't win the big one. You botched your drafts by giving all these things away. You haven't drafted another good player since you drafted Aaron Donald. All of these things.
Sean McVay was not just impatient with Goff. He decided from the moment he arrived.
Yep.
Goff was not his guy. How much of Sean McVay's success was actually Todd Gurley?
All of this.
And the system was Gurley. It wasn't really Sean McVay. Like Sean McVay is dependent on having uber-level talent, uber-level skill players all around him. They're actually carrying Sean McVay.
And
You'd already gotten to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. You got to one with Matthew Stafford, so you basically ran the clock forward 10 years for nothing.
All of a sudden, you're worried that the boy genius label
Right.
and the shine's going to start coming off you. That's what, accurate or not, that is what would have been said.
And like, look at the Lions; they fleeced the Rams. Look at what their draft picks turned into. We've talked about this all the time with like the Broncos and the Dolphins and stuff because the Broncos did a similar thing where they took a flyer on Russell Wilson to see what they could do, and it didn't work out.
It's a catastrophe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look what happened with Jared Goff once he had a coach that actually believed in him.
Right. But
in a city they got behind him.
Here's what actually happened. We won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we're done. The argument ends right there because it worked. They were hey, go get Jalen Ramsey, 2 first-round draft picks. We won the Super Bowl. Hey, trade for Von Miller and give up some more picks. We won the Super Bowl. Hey, bring in Odell Beckham Jr. on a short term and just take a flyer on him. We won the Super Bowl. Hey, have a 41-year-old left tackle and see what happens. We won the Super Bowl. All of those things it worked. Don't pick in the first round. By the way, for 8 seasons, we won the Super Bowl.
Think about how people would have thought about entering. I mean, before we knew that the Rams would actually end up going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But entering this season, everybody acknowledged, like, okay, the bills come due.
Yep.
You have to reset things sometimes.
Pay off the chase card.
Yeah, this is just the normal life cycle in the NFL. If you don't have that Super Bowl win in your pocket, people get upset about just that totally normal way that teams and leagues operate. You are more unhappy about, oh, great, so we're just crapping away another year.
And, again, both teams benefited. The Lions went from an absolute laughingstock of a franchise to being a team that you can see in the Super Bowl. That is an incredible feat.
They
that
came
this
pretty
trade
close.
They
happened.
came really close, but
I know.
they didn't.
Sure.
And you could argue that, and oddly, Jared Goff had nothing to do with the fact that they didn't get there. Like, he was really good, but the Lions could also be that team that popped up and then something happened. Jared Goff gets hurt. Who's the tackle from Michigan that gets the Aiden Hutchinson tweaks his knee, and all of a sudden it's like they never go back. That could easily be the Lions.
They accomplished their goal, which to me was to go from a laughingstock to being a terrible franchise to being a franchise that people take seriously. And if you're the Lions, that's all you can ask for.
Okay, so we're talking about Ballmer and being a rich guy. I got a last man standing for you guys when we come back, and get your thinking caps on because there's one little tricky one in there. That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, and he's in for Slee on 710 ESPN.
Saddam
This is the Mid-Morning Spectacular live from LA Live. Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to say.
I had somebody, my pal G-Fish, just threw his hat into the ring to be my co-host on the 1970s Baseball Card podcast. So we're starting to develop a community. Andy, you might have to be involved in the Ice podcast. I maybe don't have my level of enthusiasm and passion, but I think you have a vision for what it could be.
I could be your producer.
Yeah.
You gotta have someone that asks good questions to kind of spur you.
Yes, that you see the end of this as opposed to just the beginning. I think is necessary.
Here's the thing: ice is not my passion. Like
It is mine.
If I'm being totally honest, I often don't employ ice in my drinks, and if I do, I'm
like
off.
Like where would I put ice that you might not?
If I have alcohol, for example,
you take it neat.
Neat.
Okay,
Everything's
that's
neat.
fine. That is a choice that is just preference.
If I have cold water, I don't need ice.
Oh no, see, that's wrong.
But again,
Frog is wrong.
Because it is not my passion, doesn't mean I can't understand how to guide yours.
I appreciate that. All right, so I was reading something this morning. A little last man standing music, please, Jorge, because the most valuable sports franchises for 2024 were put out this morning. This is according to Sportico. Okay, so the top 10.
American?
It is international sports teams, but I don't want to mislead you by telling you that. So don't get too preoccupied with that, okay? They did their top 100, and it included international teams in the top 100. I'll put it as that. So we'll go around. We're going to play by the rules. So once you get it wrong, you are out. And the last man standing, or the last woman standing in this case, could be the champion. Emily, we'll start with you.
Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys are number 1 on the list, valued at $9.2 billion. So the Dallas Cowboys are off the list. Andy.
If you ever want an explanation to why doesn't Jerry Jones just act like a normal person running a team, there's your answer.
And why do we talk about the Cowboys on everything on ESPN?
$9.2 billion.
Your Lakers of Los Angeles.
The Los Angeles Lakers are on the list. The Los Angeles Lakers are number 4, and they are valued at $7.34 billion. Jorge.
Los Dodgers.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh.
The Dodgers
Really?
are not. The Dodgers are on the top 100
Right, but
list.
they're not
They're in
top
the
10.
top 20. They are not in the top 10. They came in at 14th.
Kind of surprising.
Okay, Dodgers are not on the list, so Jorge is out. Back to you.
Okay. I'm thinking if I should venture even outside of NFL at all, because I think that they are big winners. I'm going to go with the Yankees.
The New York Yankees are on the list.
Yes.
They are number 5, just slightly less valuable than the Lakers at $7.13 billion. So they are paupers by comparison to the Dallas Cowboys. Andy.
Charlotte Hornets. I'm kidding. I'm joking. That is a joke.
Dragon.
Right.
The Red Sox?
Wrong. The Red Sox are not on the list.
Wait, they're not on the list at all?
They're on the top 100. They're not in the top 10. Okay. They are not in the top 10. They are in the top 100. All right, so here Emily is the champ. So we need to pick your victory music because I don't think we've done that portion of it.
Taylor Swift, obviously.
It's a Taylor Swift, shuffle on your iPhone. All right, here's the rest of the top 10. All of the top 10 are North American sports teams. There were the highest ranking was Real Madrid, who came in at 11. They just missed the top 10. This is incredibly NFL heavy. There's only one baseball team
Emily
in the
nailed
top
it
10.
when she said
number 2.
Yeah.
Chiefs.
The Golden State Warriors are number 2.
I thought about them. I almost said them.
$8.28 billion. They're number 2. The number 3, also an NBA team, the New York Knicks are number 3 at $7.43 billion. And then after that, it is all NFL. The remaining of the top 10 from 6 through 10, the New York Giants. The Los Angeles Rams are at number 7 at $6.94 billion. New England at 6.7, the San Francisco 49ers at 6.15, and then the last team in the top 10, the New York Jets, at 6.11. So here's what it is. New York and California have all the teams, except for the Cowboys and the Patriots. Those are the only two non-California or New York teams.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Emily, you deserve this because it was embarrassing now that I look at this list that I even thought about the Red Sox.
I probably could have gotten to the majority of these ones, but yeah, it's. I
think I would have missed the Pats. That one surprised me that they're in the top 10.
Yeah, I always know the Warriors are really a lot up
I
there.
thought about the Warriors. I just was saving them.
When you said international, I was going to guess Real
Well,
Madrid,
when
but
she asked, so the list wasn't exclusively North
Right.
American, but the top 10 was exclusively North American. Anybody want to take a guess what the 100th? And it's not one of the big three teams or big three sports in this country.
The
Capitals.
Kind of oddly close.
Okay.
New York Islanders?
No.
Penguins.
Philadelphia Flyers.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
The
see it.
Philadelphia Flyers, number 100 on the list. Yeah.
The Wells Fargo Center where they play is like a nice little place to play.
Here's why they're talking about why the NFL teams, scarcity, right? That these teams never sell. I think they've said 4 teams have sold since 2012. They just don't turn over.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why these things
And the real
are as
estate?
valuable, and the real estate.
I mean, actually, they often don't turn over unless you are forced to turn them over, like the Panthers,
Right.
like the Commanders.
Right. Those are the two most recent ones to turn over, and they both were
'Cause-
basically arm twisted out of the
And the
league.
Broncos were not forced, but they did go up for sale.
Yep.
And that's why it's surprising that the Jets and the Giants are in the top 10 when they don't each own their own stadium. They have the
The
shared
Giants are a
MetLife.
Tiffany organization. Though.
Yeah.
They've been around for
No,
so long.
Yeah, of course.
The Jets surprised me
It's one
because
of the few that don't have their own stadium that's that good.
the Rams and the Lakers, both LA teams, the Dodgers just missed the top 10.
Where are the Clippers in there?
I didn't. I can find it, but they got to be kind of. They're going to have
And-
the new
yeah.
building. They're in LA, and
The
their
Intuit
own.
Dome is going to get a lot higher.
Okay, I've never understood this idea that you got to be good when you go into the new building. Isn't that the time where you could actually be bad? Because if you had a bad team, I want to go. I'm not a Clipper fan. I want to see that place. And I don't care if they're playing the Hornets. I want to see the new building in my town that has whatever new amenities might be available. Let's just say in an alternate universe, only the Chargers relocated to Los Angeles and they built the exact same state. I want to go see SoFi.
Right, but that's not a good way to get you in there more than once.
Maybe not. You got to be good eventually, but that's true for every team, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I agree with you. Like, if, for example, before the Harden deal and all the incarnations from there started really working, remember, it was a disaster in the beginning. And all of the people who were skeptical, myself included, were looking really correct about it. And I remember there was a lot of talk about, they're forced now to be in this position where, you have to extend Kawhi anyway. You have to extend Paul George anyway because of the new building. And I was like, well, look, you shouldn't make bad basketball decisions for the sake of immediately filling your building, but you are thinking about it. I mean, it does matter to you. What you don't want is the building to be introduced with a thud. And just,
but would it be like? Let's say that you're just super mediocre. You're a 35 win team.
After about the first month or so, yeah, it fizzles.
I wonder,
because I think all of the people who really want to see it, especially are that geeked, those are the people you're getting early.
Yeah, but especially basketball arena, there's only 20, rounding off 20,000 seats. You can't get it's not like SoFi where you can fit in 75,000 people. There's some scarcity involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it's not sustainable. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to roll the dice on, well, our team sucks, but there's so much to look at in our building.
I don't say that you purposely roll in a bad team, but this idea that it's got to be good.
Those toilets are exciting, Travis, but they're not that
And you got
exciting.
the wall of sound or whatever they're calling that thing in there,
The
too.
wall.
The wall. Yeah, wall of sound. That was Phil Spector.
It was Phil Spector.
Not him.
No. I think Steve Ballmer really wants you to know it was not Phil Spector.
It was not his idea. It's the wall. The wall. Hot and cold coming up next. It's Travis Slee. And he's in for Slee on 710 ESPN.
Steve Mason and John
Welcome the new partner here at 710 ESPN, NextGen. NextGen, the official AC, heat, and plumbing company of SoCal sports fans.
You're as cold as ice.
Call 833-3-NEXTGEN, NEXGEN, or visit nextgenairandplumbing.com. Time for our feature we do 3 days a week at 12:30 p.m. Who's hot? Who's cold? Thanks to NextGen. Time for What's Hot. How about the Akron Rubber Ducks? Take it away, Producer M.
I just wanted to hear Chris say that, too, which is great. So also, by the way, hot and cold. We've been talking about cold things all day, guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Akron Rubber Ducks, why are they hot? They're hot because they have a very special promotion coming up this season for them when they play the Hartford Yard Goats, okay? So the Akron Rubber Ducks are the minor league team based in Akron. And, you know, when you think of Akron, who do you think of? That comes out of
LeBron
Akron?
James.
LeBron James, obviously.
Firestone Tires.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry,
Yeah.
also from Akron. Just kids from Akron. But who else is a kid from Akron?
One-
Brian Windhorst.
Mhm. Ah.
Brian Windhorst will be honored as a bobblehead night for the Akron Rubber
That's awesome.
Ducks. Okay, so you can get your own little windy, maybe. Okay, I'm thinking.
Does
of,
it put its hands up like this? when he does
exactly?
it?
I was like, is that the pose for the bobblehead?
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what do you guys have to do to get a bobblehead of you at a minor league baseball game?
Oh, by the way, that's an incredible honor. Like, if you're going to be immortalized on a bobblehead, that's really, really cool. So congratulations to Windhorst for being able to do that. The only thing I would like if you said to me, you can pick a cool thing that they're going to do about the Travis Lee show or just me or whatever, I would love to be Simpsonized in an episode of The Simpsons. I know that you can do it online and they'll do those things, but to have you show up and get to play yourself, like Roy Firestone was
Yes.
himself on The Simpsons a million years ago. Do you have a question for Sandy Koufax? Like, he got to do that to Homer Simpson. It was terrific, but what a great honor.
It is really cool. I was listening to today's episode of the Hoop Collective on the way here, and Windhorst was talking about it. You could tell, Brian's a pretty low-key guy
Yeah.
in that way, but he was excited and very flattered by it. He said he did not have any input in terms of what the bobblehead is going to look
The pose?
like. It's not even clear that they went to him and said hey, are you cool with us doing this? It sounds like maybe the Rubber Ducks just decided we're doing this.
Yeah.
But I know Tim McMahon and Tim Bontemps, who were on with him, they were really geeked for him
It's
too.
awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah, I love minor league baseball games because this stuff is really fun. You get all the crazy stuff. So I used to go. So Hartford, where I used to live, doesn't have any major sports teams. So I would go to UConn games, and I would also go to the Hartford Yard Goats. And it was always a great time because ESPN always had a special suite. The Golix had a suite there, so we'd all have fun there because it's great. So minor league baseball is great for cities and towns that don't have major sports.
You know
teams.
what minor league baseball staple that I absolutely love? They do it between innings. I don't know if I've ever been to a minor league game and not seen it. Is where they get somebody out of the crowd to run around the bat, and then they have to run to first base, and they end up doing that whole serpentine thing.
My dad did it one time.
Oh, how'd he do?
He got there. I think he got whatever the prize.
I think they
was.
call it dizzy bats.
Is that what
dizzy
it's?
bat.
Okay, I
You spin your
love
head on
dizzy
it.
bats. I love that.
All right, so now it's time for What's Cold.
And now time for Who's Cold.
Dang it.
Anthony Rendon.
Oh, this is old.
Oh my God.
So
Not
actually,
Anthony Rendon.
What did he say this time?
Yeah.
what's actually cold, I must have pressed the wrong one, is amateurism in sports. Okay, so Jay Billis was on the Rich Eisen show, and I'm going to play a clip from you here. He's talking about how they should fix the transfer portal and all this upheaval in all of college sports, not just college basketball, which he covers very closely. So this is Jay Billis on the Rich Eisen show.
If the NCAA wants to fix this, they can fix it tomorrow. All they have to do is take off all restrictions for schools paying their athletes, and they would sign them to contracts just like they do coaches and administrators and all that. It's really not that difficult. But we're trying to walk the line of maintaining amateurism, which is dead, and then we're complaining about NIL. It's not what we thought it was going to be. What did they think was going to happen? I knew this was going to happen, and you and I talked about it. The schools want to pay the players. They want to have the best players, and they're going to do what it takes to get them, and they're going to compete in the marketplace to do it. And once players are allowed to be paid by, and this unilateral wage restriction that the NCAA is using, which is violative of federal antitrust law, things will normalize. And we won't have to worry about the transfer portal. You sign a player to a contract, put a buyout in it, put conditions in it that are bargained between the player and the institution. It won't be a problem anymore. Just like they don't worry about coaches transferring from one school to another. They pay their buyout. It's orderly. And everybody knows what the market is. It's just not that big of a deal.
So, yeah, who thinks that college sports is still amateurish, one? And what do you think of Jay's proposal here?
I think he is correct in terms of this is the obvious solution and the direction that you should go, because it ultimately, let's treat this thing for what it is. I think the getting there is going to be more complicated than the way Billis is presenting this. Like, I think just the process of figuring out what these contracts are, the idea of just negotiating with a university, negotiating with all of these different athletes individually, how many of them have access to somebody that will advocate on their behalf. Like, I think there are questions in this that are more complicated than Billis is making it out to be. But do I think he is correct about what ultimately needs to happen? Messy as it might be, yes.
Yeah, I
think
think the end game that he's getting to is the end game. I think that's what whenever we get there, that's what it's going to look like, what he's describing. But the journey to get there, I think, is complicated. We were talking about this earlier, Andy, and you said something that I think is incredibly important. And simply put, no one ever gives up power without being forced to do it. There is a revolution, a coup. Something happens for the power to be redistributed to different entities. And right now, the presidents have it, the television networks have it, the sponsors have it, and the people that don't have it are the athletes, or at least they might have slightly more than they used to, but it's still not equal to what they're generating. And until there's the coup or the revolution, it's not no university president or no NCAA administrator is going to wake up and say, you know what we should do is. It's never going to happen. It's going to have to be forcefully dragged to that place. And I don't know when the revolution takes place.
People focus a lot on the money, and I get it, and the money matters a lot. But the power piece of this is the part that I think has always gone under the radar and under discussed in terms of what's kept the place that we're in right now, what's taken it so long to get there. I think the power shift is actually much more important than often is given credit.
Look at Travis calling for a revolution.
That's right. Sometimes the people have the people have to make their voices heard, and if they're not going to listen, then you're going to have to
man of the people.
Them. That's me.
Egalite, liberté, fraternité.
Yes, that. Whatever she said, I think that's what I agree with.
Equality, liberty, and brotherhood.
Yes.
That's from the French Revolution.
That's exactly what I want. Who's Hot, Who's Cold? It's brought to you by NextGen, the official heat, AC, and plumbing company of SoCal sports fans. Call 833-3-NEXTGen. That's 833-3-NEXGEN, or visit nextgenairandplumbing.com. The Dump is coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
The black and gold have been to the MLS Cup final the last 2 years in a row. Can they make it a third? The road starts this Saturday.
BMO Stadium is rocking for the black and gold.
LAFC are reloaded and ready for season 7, led by former World Cup champion keeper Hugo Lloris and last year's Golden Boot winner Denis Bouanga.
Denny!
It's the season opener at BMO. LAFC versus Seattle. Pre-game starts Saturday at 1 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
For everything we haven't gotten to today, yes, it's time for the dump.
So Dave Roberts said that it's, quote, a safe bet to assume that the two starters when the Dodgers open their season in about almost exactly 1 month from right now will be Yamamoto and Glasnow. Their two acquisitions this offseason. And it's crazy to think about that a year ago, right? We knew that Ohtani was on their radar and that they were always going to try to get that, and that maybe he would be their opening day guy because we didn't know he was going to get hurt at that point. And that Ohtani as a Dodger is awesome, but it's not a huge surprise that this is where he ended up. But a year ago, if I would have told you, hey, there's this guy that pitches in Japan that you've probably never heard of, that they're going to give $350 million to, and that 6'9" guy that pitches for the Devil Rays that's never healthy, he's going to be their number 2 guy. They're going to give him a 5-year deal with $125 million. Those are going to be your 1 and 2, and Walker Buehler might be your 4th guy behind Bobby Miller.
You know,
it's crazy.
I hadn't thought about this before, and I want to make it clear. I'm not saying this as a negative. I'm just saying I hadn't really thought about it because Walker Buehler is a Dodger homegrown guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is really a mercenary team. Like, it's like the Avengers. Like, in terms of the lack, there's not a lot of homegrown guys on it. Like, in terms of guys who came up through that system, even though the Dodgers are renowned with growing their system. And again, I don't say that as a negative. I'm not saying it makes it any less exciting. Like, you know, Ohtani has a chance to be here like 10 years. He's going to feel like one of their own. Mookie's going to be here long enough that it's going to feel like one of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Freeman.
Yep.
I'm just saying it's just interesting because, like,
well, look at the team. There's two guys that are going to be in the starting lineup that are Dodger homegrown guys. It's Will Smith and it's James Outman. Those are the two guys.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's because for the longest time, Kershaw was homegrown. And their pitching staff, a lot of Julio Urias was homegrown. There were a lot of guys that were guys that you looked around. And Max Muncy, while he came up with the A's, and Chris Taylor that came up with Seattle, they really never had an impact.
Justin Turner feels like a Dodger, but even in the majors, like 10 years or something?
Less than that, but it wasn't a year or two. It was 4 or 5 or 6.
I mean, when the Dodgers brought over Turner in the beginning, there was no hoopla about that.
None.
I mean, he was considered a reclamation project at best.
It's changed, and I don't think Dodger fans give a damn.
No,
because they've done it with their guys, and they've used their guys to go get other guys. Right? Corey Seager was one of their guys. Kept him as then he left. They flipped that into Trey Turner.
Bellinger was one of
their guys. That didn't work out. Kenley Jansen was one of their guys. He kind of aged out, and it's just they basically said, okay, we did it that way. We got a weird pandemic-ridden championship out of it. Who's the best player in the league? Okay, we'll take him. Who's the best pitcher in the world? Oh, he pitches in a different league. I don't care. Bring him on over. Who's the next best? Give me him. Who's the best? One of the best free agent bats on Teoscar Hernandez? Yeah, bring him in too. They've just basically said, bleep it. Our way is still our way, and we can use some of these younger assets to buttress what we have or go acquire more things. But we got 1 foot on the brake when it comes to spending. That's long gone.
They're not the Orioles or the Kansas City Royals where they have to work with the guys they bring up.
Yeah, and look, I mean, their farm system remains great, and you still got your Bobby Millers of the world, like people like that can maybe be a Dodger lifer or whatever.
Yeah,
and guys like Mookie and Freddie Freeman, they're so likable. Like you're not going to care. It just really dawned on me. I'm like, this really is like the Avengers assembly.
A lot of guys.
Okay, so last week when I filled in for Mason in Ireland, Greg, one of the things he wanted to bring up was he was really upset about these new uniforms.
The players
for
hate
MLB.
them.
Yeah, players hate them. The writing is curved. Greg went off about it.
You know what it looks like?
It looks fake.
They look like replicas as opposed to authentics.
So,
and there's a difference between those two things.
I wasn't totally on Greg's side. I wasn't totally seeing his vision on last Friday. I see his vision now, okay? I just saw so the Sporting News tweeted out a photo of Ohtani in his Dodger uniform, everything. Those pants are see-through. You can see how his shirt is tucked into his pants. This is a problem. I don't need these guys to have see-through pants, okay? So I think someone else posted, I think it was maybe a Royals guy was on TikTok doing one of those tiny mic things with the team. and you could see how his shirt was scrunched up underneath his pants. I don't need to see that.
Well, I'm with you. That's not something that I have to see either. Here's what's going to happen. I'll go back to, I don't know, this was 10 or 12 years ago. Remember when the NBA introduced the new ball? And the league went, what the is this? And David Stern, to his credit, said, all right, go back to the old ball. And they did. And they rolled it out in a different way. If enough people buck hard enough at this, they may reboot this thing.
We don't need to see like Tuesday on your underpants, okay? Let's not.
I was going to say that, as Cappy would say, your underpants, they better be wearing some dark underpants so you can really see
or
through
like
that
flesh-colored underpants.
Well, thankfully, baseball players wear sliders underneath their pants, which are typically pretty thick and sturdy.
This
so
reminds
your
me of...
business is not on full display.
This reminds me.
You haven't seen this photo.
Do you remember? It's probably about 12 or so years ago. It was during the Kobe Powell era. They had those games where they did the throwback short shorts.
Oh,
They ditched them at halftime. The players all hated them. They all made a collective decision. We are not wearing these for the second half of this game.
If it was purely, I'm trying to think how I want to say. If it was just, I don't like how this feels when I'm wearing it, I think you'll get used to that. The problem with this new wave of gear, it looks cheap. It just doesn't look good. Like when you see, we all go to Dodger games and you can see a jersey, you're like, oh, that's a real Dodger jersey. It has that weight and that heft.
Stitching.
And then you have the one that looks like the car wash giveaway.
Hey, easy.
Right? and it's like, yeah, that one's not the right one. Now the guys on the field are wearing the car wash giveaway. It just feels cheap.
Now, am I correct about this setup that Nike basically went through Fanatics to do this? Why does Nike, I mean, no disrespect to Fanatics, they're a great company. Why does Nike need a middleman?
I don't know.
They're Nike.
I don't know. It's a good question, and I don't know. That's a weird, I don't know.
I mean, like, of all companies that doesn't need anybody else to get involved with sports uniforms, it would be Nike.
Some good birthdays today. The late Alan Rickman would have been celebrating a birthday today on February 21st.
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
I think of him as Snape, but you guys can think of him as Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
I actually recently...
Bill Clay.
Shoot the glass. my daughter recently saw Die Hard for the first time. Loved it.
Awesome.
It stressed her out.
Oh, really?
She was like, how's John McClane?
He lives. There's multiple sequels.
I had to tell her that. Actually, I was like, look, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's been like Die Hard 2, 3, 4.
And look, I love Die Hard. Great movie. It's
perfect.
How often do they kill the hero? Not very often.
If you want to have a sequel, you don't kill your hero.
Right.
Well, but I mean, she is 12.
No, I understand, but
you didn't understand the concept of
usually
movie
the hero gets away.
That was his film debut.
Alan Rickman's?
Yep.
He was only on stage prior to that?
Yeah, or like British TV.
Really?
When did Die Hard come out again?
88.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was 88. But that's also, though, part of what made him so great is you had no previous associations with Rickman at all.
And the one you're talking about him, that's a Harry Potter character?
Yes. So he was.
He is good.
He is Snape. You can't separate Alan Rickman and Snape at all. It's when you think about it now, it's such an iconic role to me. He does it so because. Say what you want about Harry Potter.
They're good movies.
But the actors, the adult actors, are a murderer's row of British actors. It's amazing.
The people they got.
Benny Hill?
The only one they didn't get was Patrick Stewart. I was of like high, or Ian McKellen as like high float.
Those movies got better after
come
Alfonso
around
Cuarón,
more
by
often.
the way.
I'm enjoying myself a great deal.
And the old man.
Indeed.
Another great birthday
yes.
is one of my favorite directors working today. I will see, if I just see this person's name, I will immediately go see this movie. It's Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele's 45th birthday. Happy birthday, Jordan Peele. But his movies, 3, to me, perfect movies. I know people can debate whether Us was good or not, or whether Nope was good or not. Do not debate with me. I think they are 3 perfect movies. I think him...
Kind of sounds like you want to debate.
Jordan Peele and Greta Gerwig have 3 amazing first starts.
Andy?
No, they're both off to really, really impressive starts.
Key and Peele is still in rotation in the Rogers household.
Also,
my
Key and Peele's
sons
fantastic.
love it.
It's good stuff. Jordan Peele is super, super talented.
And his next movie was supposed to premiere on Christmas Day this year. It just got pushed to January next year, which I'm very upset about because that means that they're trying to push him into January, and January usually is a dump spot for most movies. No, Jordan Peele's next movie is going to be great.
Because Emily said so.
Exactly, because Jordan Peele is involved with it.
The gavel has been smacked.
I'm upset about that and Mickey 17 getting delayed.
Oh my gosh. It got put into Dumpuary, which is February. And Mickey 17, it's January 31st technically, and it's Bong Joon-ho's next film after Parasite. And it stars Robert Pattinson, and there's someone else really cool in it. Anyway, I'm really mad about
Twilight.
Yeah, he's the Batman. I hated that movie. Kelsey Grammer turns 69 years old today. I think he has the record, could be wrong, for non-animated playing the same character in the most consecutive years in television history. He played Fraser Crane for something like 30 years in a row.
But consecutive?
I think one rolled right into the other. Am I wrong about that?
Well, because the one that I'm thinking about is Richard Belzer as Munch. That went from Homicide to Law and Order SVU.
Oh, he was on Homicide.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's where the character originated.
Yeah,
he made an appearance as Munch on the X-Files. He appeared in The Simpsons.
Well, speaking of The Simpsons, Kelsey Grammer, of course, is Sideshow Bob. Do we give him, because he's basically just being Fraser Crane, evil Fraser Crane. It's the same guy.
Which brought in his brother.
Yeah, it's Sideshow Mel. Yes. No. His brother it's going to bother me. I need to stop thinking about it. It'll come back to me. Anthony Davis scored a career-high 59 for the New Orleans Pelicans. They beat the Detroit Pistons 111-106 on this day in 2016. And have we turned the corner with him as Laker people, Andy, where it's him playing every night is now just kind of the expectation as opposed to the surprise? Because I found myself not even thinking about it anymore, which I didn't even think was possible a year ago.
I feel like if he gets injured, there will be the automatic, see, I told you so, whatever. But it doesn't.
Yeah, but you're wrong.
Well, it doesn't feel like a shoe's about to drop.
Right.
He has been so good this year. AD has been phenomenal on both sides of the ball all season. The only reason he's not in the MVP discussion is the team's record. I think it's the only reason he's not really in the thick of the Defensive Player of the Year discussion.
You don't think he'll win?
No. I think Rudy Gobert's going to win. I think it's kind of a redemption year for Gobert.
Yeah,
the Wolves have been great all year.
They've been good. I would like to see Anthony Davis get recognized in some. I know he made the All-Star team. I know that people are saying all the things that we're saying about him, but this is the first time since his first year as a Laker where you're like, this is the guy that we were hoping was going to be here since they made that deal. If you're complaining about Anthony Davis, you're doing it wrong. He has been terrific just about every single night.
The way I would put it simply is just the Lakers are his team now.
Yeah.
Like LeBron's voice may still matter the most because he's LeBron and he's arguably the greatest of all time. But as far as who makes the Lakers as great as they can be, it's AD.
Spinoffs can go a lot of different directions. Apparently, a Ferris Bueller's Day Off spinoff is moving forward. David Katzenberg is set to direct. The film titled Sam and Victor's Day Off will follow the same-day adventure of the valets who took Cameron's Ferrari on a joyride. Kind of into that, I'm not going to lie.
It's a really interesting way to do it. The problem is, though, the actors who played the valets were so great. Like, I don't remember... The black actor, I don't remember his name. The other guy's Richard Edson. He's a really well-known character actor. They were so funny and memorable in that small role. Like, you're going to have to really find some good younger guys to pick up for them. But it's a funny concept. Okay. It's a clever way to do it.
Is it set in 1986? Because the original Ferris Bueller was released in 1986, and it was set in its own time. Because you think about it, it's 40 years ago. It's like a period piece at this point.
I mean, unless those guys are still valets, and Ferris shows up now in a parking garage, and those guys take out his Ferrari, because, like, presumably... No, Ferris did find out. He saw the mileage.
The odometer.
So, I don't know. It feels like something where they would set it in 86. That's how I would do it.
Speaking of Ferris Bueller, it was an integral part of the newest season of True Detective, Night Country.
Ferris Bueller?
Yeah. So the part where they do Twist and Shout, the parade sequence. So that is on a loop when something creepy happens.
Okay.
And so it's also that song is featured throughout the movie, throughout the show in creepy ways.
My favorite piece that I ever wrote about the Lakers, or whenever you're writing about the Lakers, you're writing about Kobe, was a piece after he won his 5th championship, and I used Ferris Bueller's Day Off as basically the starting point of how to look at Kobe's career. That idea of, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around every while, you might miss it.
Yeah.
I felt like people were spending so much time with Kobe's career, comparing him to different people. They weren't just actually taking in his career.
We all do that, and it's too bad because it kind of ruins, especially in a moment like that. It can kind of take some of the fun out. You know what we should do, Jorge? A little Supercross talk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
Just in the nick of time. You ran in here. You must have known that your zipline war cry was needed to officially do.
Ready to roll.
What's your caffeine situation today?
A little lighter. I did a
Okay.
podcast this morning, but my caffeine, I didn't drink as much coffee because yesterday I came in here just absolutely
Did you have the
wired.
crash?
Did I have a crash? Did you notice one? I don't think so. I'm pretty
Power through?
I am wired again today.
I don't see much difference from yesterday
Yeah,
to
no,
now.
I'm still wired. I had a pot of coffee this morning. Had a pot of coffee before the
Like an
podcast.
accent on that? He was like, they got a pot of coffee.
Pot of coffee. And then I had 2 quad espressos in the last
my
half
God.
hour.
No, you
so,
didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Quad
wait,
espressos?
No.
The pot of coffee for real? Or you had a cup of coffee?
No, I had a pot of coffee.
And 2 quads.
And 2 quad
So
Is there
you-
any food mixed in there?
One of them spinach feta wraps.
Oh, that's
from
your go-to.
downstairs. That's my go-to.
That's
Yeah.
not enough to soak up 80 billion milligrams of
Otherwise,
caffeine.
so 2 quad espressos. I've done the research. 800 milligrams. I have
Jeez.
of caffeine. I have no idea how much. Yeah, I am wired.
Emily,
800 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah, and then this morning, I don't know how much is in a pot of coffee.
a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Emily describes Starbucks food as 3D printed. Would you agree
Yeah.
or
I
disagree?
would not agree.
That's
I would
totally
not
true.
agree. My breakfast every day is a spinach feta sandwich. I'm a creature
What
of
happened
habit.
to your turkey bacon?
I
With a tooth in it.
I went out of
Yeah.
the turkey bacon phase.
Yeah.
Because of the tooth?
No, I stuck with it for a while.
I think you had
If you can muscle through a tooth.
For 3
Yeah.
years straight.
I did. Every single day, I'm the ultimate creature of habit. And here's the thing. So I'll be on something, on a run. We call it a run
Yeah.
in my house.
Yeah.
We're like every day, like right now, every day is 170 calories of pistachios. So I have pistachios every single day. Now, all of a sudden...
Do you measure them out?
Yeah, I have exactly 170 calories worth. So...
So you're off the Brussels sprouts and sauerkraut.
Correct. Eventually, I will be.
Thank God.
Eventually, I will be off pistachios, and I'll never care about pistachios again.
Right.
There was a period where I had a Reuben every single day.
You know what? I did that with a
I could do
meatball
that.
sandwich once.
Yeah.
I could do that.
I could. So
Both
like,
a meatball and a
when I
Reuben.
used to work at the Daily News, they had an office cafeteria, and I interned there for like a summer.
Yep.
And every single day, I had the meatball sandwich.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was just like one of those, office cafeteria ones, but they would heat it up for me with the cheese.
Do you know why it was good?
Why?
Because it's a meatball sandwich. That's
so
why.
good.
There, you
It's-
can't make a bad meatball
No, you
sandwich.
can, but this
not
one-
really. It's got meatballs and sauce and cheese. It's going to be pretty good.
It was good. But like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, you get into a phase. Like, sometimes I go through a chicken patty phase. Like, I really like getting like just like the chicken patty, and I will
Right.
eat that every day for lunch for
Okay.
like 2 weeks straight. And then I don't need that for a while. I don't go. You go on a run.
I go on a run.
If you miss one day, is the run over? Like, could you skip a day and get back on there? Is it still a run?
No, I could
It's like a
definitely-
hitting streak.
I could definitely do it. But even on Saturday, Sunday, I go to Starbucks and I get the spinach
really?
feta sandwich. Yeah. No, it's
Wow.
like every single day.
It's like your thing.
Here, now my dad, I inherited this.
Do you have a little OCD?
I don't know if it's OCD.
No, I think it's like a painter. Like, Van Gogh had his blue phase.
You think this is my pistachio phase?
Yeah. No, it's
Yes.
a period. It's not
Yeah.
just a phase. It's a period.
So my dad would pick up a skill and then it would be over. Like, for example, when my dad, in the early 70s, my dad was a scratch golfer.
Oh.
Then he stopped golfing. Then he learned racquetball.
When you say stop go, he never played again?
Never played again.
You're kidding.
No, he got to be a scratch golfer, never played again.
And he was like, and that's all I. What? That's
I'm
a
done.
Forrest
That
Gump
was
thing.
that was the end of the run.
Done running.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Right.
So then
Done running.
he picked up racquetball. Remember racquetball?
Yeah.
Loved had a moment in the 70s and early 80s.
So
yeah.
good. So we played racquetball every single day.
It was
for a
huge in the
whole summer.
Midwest
It
in
was
particular.
amazing.
It was huge here.
3-wall, right?
Yeah.
3-wall racquetball. So my dad says, I think I can get really good at this. We played for hours every day. My dad decided, I think I'm going to enter the national championships.
Really?
He finished 4th in the country
Wow.
in the racquetball 3-wall championships, and then never played racquetball again. It's like he always used the phrase, "I wore it out." He wore out golf. He wore out racquetball.
Was your dad? My dad must have been a pretty good athlete to be able to master those two
was an
things.
unbelievable natural athlete.
Yeah.
He spectacular. And I, of course, inherited all that myself.
Yes.
It
Definitely.
skips a generation.
It did. Generation skipping,
It's
yes.
like baldness.
Yeah, his baldness.
Skips a generation. So
Yeah.
you got,
No.
the good with the bad.
Not my family.
So I asked you this when you walked in, Momo, that if you are an ice fan.
Yeah.
I am an ice
I really
connoisseur.
like ice, yeah.
Ice? What do you mean?
Like
like
the
it.
different shapes,
You like
which
cubed
ice goes in
you
which
like
drink.
crushed ice.
All
I
of
know,
this.
I
You
know
understand?
all of it.
The ice machine here is broken.
Oh, no.
Come on. I was just about to go get some.
It's dead. I filled up my mug, as I do, fill it up with ice, get it filled with water. Halfway up the mug, it made this terrible grinding sound and just shut off, and it hasn't come back.
So you broke it.
I didn't break it, but it broke while I was using it. All I was doing was touching the button.
See, I like just cubes. I
Just like out of the
an
fridge?
Ice cube.
No.
I like crushed ice.
I
Crushed
don't.
ice is so
You know
good.
what I
You
don't
chew
like?
it and-
I don't like coffee bean ice.
I love coffee
which is
bean
like
ice. The
little
cubes.
The
pebbles.
pellets. It's the pellets.
I don't
That's
like
what
that
the
at all.
ice
Best.
machine hears. For iced coffee, it is the best.
It is the best.
Right?
yeah.
But for a cocktail, it's not good because
Yeah,
it waters
agreed.
down the drink.
Cocktail, you need to have the big, giant
The
cube.
cube, the
That's
big
actually
cube,
really
or the
cool
sphere.
when they do that. Yeah, in my
Yeah.
old fashioned up the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
big cube.
So we need
They
to
can charge a lot more when they use that big ice
use
cube.
the big cube.
You can
yeah.
be on the committee to replace the ice machine because I
my ice
want
machine
input
at
on
home
this.
broke yesterday too.
On your fridge?
No, I have a separate ice machine.
Go on.
Because you buy them, they're about $100 on Amazon.
What type of ice does it make?
It makes the it's like a circle, but it's kind of in between a pebble and a.
Does it have the hole in the middle?
It has a hole in the middle.
Yeah, let's go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now this,
I know.
just ice. What are
No,
you guys
it's not.
talking
You know what it's
about?
closest to? Hotel ice machine ice.
Oh, that's
Not
great.
the spheres.
The little,
but-
almost shaped like a dice.
Yes, it looks
right.
like
It's
a flying
frozen
saucer.
water, people.
No,
it makes a
Mace,
difference.
you're telling me. that if-
Sometimes it's cloudy, sometimes
That's
it's clear.
That's
Yeah,
where
I
I'm
know.
going. That if you get a drink,
have a basis,
like whether
Travis.
it's a soft drink or a cocktail or something, and the ice is cloudy like it came out of my fridge, versus when you go to a nice bar and the ice is crystal clear, that's the same to you?
So when
Well,
you
it's
stop
easier
at
to
the
chew when it's cloudy.
Because there's air in it, right?
Right, I like to
that's
chew
but
it.
but it has a weird taste to it too. Clean
I
ice.
like that. I like being able to chew it really easily.
See, when I stop by and see Tungus at the AM/PM, I don't know what ice is coming out of the machine.
Gas stations typically have very good ice. Because
Yeah,
they
they
have
do.
an industrial ice maker.
Yeah.
The crappy one in your fridge, all of our fridges,
Yeah.
unless you have a super nice
Yeah.
fridge,
Yeah.
it makes that cloudy, crummy ice.
Well, I got like a filter on it and all that stuff. No, it makes no difference.
I'd be surprised if you're getting
I
the
think
right
I've
ice.
So
got
one
clear
of my
ice.
one of my pandemic purchases was the ice machine, and it's lasted since 2020.
It's
so
only
I think
$100?
It was only $100. You can go get one tomorrow.
You have a separate ice
It's a
machine.
separate
Like
ice
I just
machine.
have it in the refrigerator.
I have a
going.
separate-
No, my fridge ice machine never worked. We inherited this fridge when we bought the house.
So-
it never worked. So I bought a separate one because I got tired of the trays. Because the trays, you always run out fast when
Yep.
you have a party, and you break those things. They're cheap. Like,
And they taste like plastic. The ice tastes like plastic.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my
inevitable.
God. Andy, have you ever experienced this ice connoisseur
I,
business?
okay, I'm not a huge ice person myself.
Okay.
But over the course of these last 3 hours, I have helped steer.
I've educated him.
I have hope. Well, you haven't really changed my life, but I think I've changed yours because
Perhaps.
I have convinced Travis on the idea of a podcast all about ice.
Oh my God!
A YouTube channel
where you bring in bartenders, you bring in people who water experts, people
you ever had
who
a
refrigerator.
Big sphere in your cocktail?
I have. It's
Like
wonderful. I make them at home.
I've
I have
known
a
this
mold.
about Travis for a long time. I once sent Travis a link to a book about the history of ice.
No, really?
Yes.
Like I've known that he's been into this. I feel like this is. Look at how excited Ramona got.
I'm telling you.
History
There's
of
an
ice.
audience for this.
History of ice. Water freezes. That's the history.
That's just step
do you wanna know
one,
what the
Mace.
next level is, Chav? The next level is glasses. What do you drink your drink out of?
Okay, we're going to have to spend some time on this
Oh,
because
yeah.
I could spend several hours
This
on
is
the
part
right
of the
glasses.
show, though. This
Yes.
is part of the
You can't just
show.
have it in a plastic cup
Of course,
or a red
unless
Solo cup.
well, depends
Unless
on
there's
what
no
we're
other
having.
Oh, if
right?
we're having beer, it's
if
fine.
we're having a nice cocktail, you need the heavy-bottomed old-fashioned
Yes.
glass.
Yes.
Right? The
Yes.
heavy bottom that
Even
kind
if
of
I want a glass of soda, I will always say to Nevin, I go, can you bring me a glass of Coke Zero in a glass with ice? I don't want it in a plastic glass. I don't want it in a red Solo cup. I want it in a glass.
So picky.
I want it with real ice.
So you agree this
It
show
tastes
could
different.
take off?
It tastes different.
The ice
Will
show.
you be
The
one
ice
of my
show.
guests?
Travis on ice.
Yeah. Well, we
Travis
could.
on
Travis on ice.
We've heard
is a great name
the
for a
ice of
show.
life. We got that
I like
suggestion.
that
We
one.
got the Iceman comments.
Oh, I like that.
We got that. We had what were some of the other
There was
ones?
Ice Baby.
Ice Baby.
Very
yeah.
good.
Might be
Mr.
taken.
Ice Guy.
Mr. Ice Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a handful of them.
Yeah,
but
okay,
I
good.
think I like the Ice of Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
one's
you
pretty
did. I missed some of the show today. Did you do a whole show on ice?
We did a segment or two or three.
I heard
2 or
Andy
3
basically-
segments on ice.
It's
But then
important.
I
Right.
heard
By the
one
way,
segment.
when I was prepping for the show, because the Lakers are on
Break.
it's like ice may come up on our show too.
Yeah.
It's a
Hey,
little.
look.
Well, there was a little Lakers news that Darvin Ham was not at practice today, and LeBron was also excused from practice, but will join the team in San Francisco. There was a little.
Think he plays tomorrow?
No,
No.
Really?
I don't think so.
But he did play in the All-Star game and didn't play the game before the All-Star game.
Correct.
Huh.
That's not right.
That's a good
That's
look.
not
I mean,
right.
If 3 or 4 days off before the All-Star game and then multiple days off afterwards were not enough to guarantee him playing in this game Thursday, he should not have played in the All-Star
Why
game.
would you play in the All-Star game?
I can't
I
even begin to
understand
answer that.
fans and all that. You're there.
He's
was
played in
the
it
team
20
captain.
times. He's played in it 20
He
times,
was the
and it's
team
not a
captain.
game.
He should have. He could still be there but not play.
He shouldn't have played.
He could have just
No,
given up
shouldn't
his
have played at
spot
all.
and let somebody else have that spot,
I agree.
and still been the team captain. You could still show up.
And play tomorrow night in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Ramon, I'm going to get home. I'm going to take a picture of all my different ice molds, so check your phone.
Do you want me to tell you about the ice machine that I ordered?
Yes. Send me a
$100
link.
on Amazon.
Send me a link.
Okay,
Super
good.
Crosstalks brought to you by In-N-Out Burger.
And
also
ice.
great ice.